Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
And hello and welcome to episode 145 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. And a huge round of applause and thank you to all of our wonderful Patreon supporters. Without your generous support, we could not even think about bringing this show to you. So if you'd like to help support us, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from as little as $1 per month upwards. And hello and welcome to the show. And in the studio with me, I've got Ian.
G'day, Dave. G'day, listeners.
Julian.
Good morning.
Very early morning for you, Julian.
Yeah, it is an early morning.
We're actually did a 9 a.m. start because I've got grandparent duties later on this afternoon. So
Lucky you.
Yeah. So Julian amazingly got here 5 minutes past.
Yep.
Intravenously gave him some coffee and he's awake now.
Yes.
Very rock and roll.
And we have a special guest in the studio. Old-time friend of the show, returning once again, Sam Dwyer.
Good morning, gents.
Hey.
Would I be considered a special guest anymore?
No.
It's like, I think you can drop the special. I was never that special.
Yeah, you're like the neighbour that drops in.
Yeah, him again.
You're like Wilson from in
All you
Home
see is my
Improvement.
eyes.
He smelt the breakfast cookie and just rolled in.
Yeah, that's it.
Are those sausages vegan?
Yes.
No? Good.
Yes, they were. Wink, wink.
Totally vegan.
So, gents, what have we been up to? Let's start with you, Ian. What have you been up to since the last show?
Well, let's see. I got back. Start again. Before I went to the USA, I decided to make a start on my Lanchester from Copper State Models and clipped some bits off the sprues and got the chassis all built up. And then last Saturday was the first real day I had a full day on the bench and got all the body done and started looking really good. And then I got to the rear suspension section and it's gone. I have no idea where I put the rear suspension. So these 6 little components have gone missing.
Yep. Which is unusual for you because you're so...
organised.
Yes.
Yeah, I usually have like a little tackle box
You
that I put
do.
all my parts in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
If only the kit came in a box.
yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, funny about that. So that was at about, I think, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I realised I'd lost these bits. So
Yeah.
I basically wasted a whole day. And as I'm just scrounging around and looking at bits, looking for these bits, just taking stuff off the bench and under the bench and looking around on my bookcase and on my racks, and then I spotted the radiator, which I'd totally forgotten to install in the kit. And by that stage, it was way too late. There's no way you're going to fit because I had all the all the front suspension and steering arms and everything in there. It's like, well, yeah, okay.
Can you notice it not
Yeah,
being in the kit if you've
definitely.
built it? Oh, jeez.
Because you can see it from the front.
Mud. Just cover it in mud.
Well, actually, I was thinking what I might do with that one is have it buried in sand.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
Buried
do
in front
that
axles.
because one
Yeah.
of the options is one that was used in the Libyan desert.
There you go.
So if I bury it in sand, I can have it like sand all the way up to basically 3/4 of the top of the wheels.
Yep.
You could do
Give it the really cool desert scheme they had on those, the tricolour desert scheme. So
But
it's
you could
not a
also-
complete loss.
You could also do it like really rusty and faded out, like was it just abandoned?
Well, actually,
with
if
bits missing
if
and,
it's in the Libyan desert,
and have
it
World War
goes
II guys finding it.
that's a good idea. No, I like
Have
where
it
you're
all
coming
the
from.
paint faded or rusty? Like,
Yeah.
you know, remember...
But it's not rusty. Remember, it goes that black colour because it
Yeah.
doesn't rust.
Yeah.
Remember that B-17 Liberator that crashed and they found it in the 50s? Lady Be Good?
Yeah, Lady Be Good, the B-24, yeah.
Like, you do it something like that.
Yeah, that's an idea. I might do that.
You're welcome.
So
there
thank
you
you,
go.
Sam. So at least it's not a loss.
Ideas, man.
Ideas, man.
So here's the reason why Sam got brought along today.
Yeah. So this week on Thursday I bought my replacement Lanchester. So the other one I started was I can't remember the name of it. It's basically a World War I French tank that's built on a steam bulldozer chassis. Oh, steamroller chassis.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yes, it's this big grey box with 4 machine guns hanging out of it in different places.
Cool.
About, I think, 8 pieces all up.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
that's in its colour, which is like a bluey grey. So that's all ready to give a clear coat today, and then I can start putting some panel wash on it. And
Very nice.
So my weekend this weekend is back on the
Chock-a-block.
bench. Back on the bench.
Back on the bench.
Back on the bench.
Julian.
So I've been making some purchases lately. I bought one of those little what do you call them, like cordless compressor things that you.
Oh, yeah.
So I bought one of those. The idea was I'm going to sort of put together a little.
You should stick it onto the airbrush and just walk around the house and you can spray paint.
Yeah, you can.
Everywhere.
This one actually, you can put a hose line in between the airbrush and the compressor itself.
Oh.
Yeah. The idea is that I kind of want to paint things when we're at Model Club.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and I can just go downstairs and paint something up and move on with things. Because, you know, it's I find it, you know, when you're building aircraft, how you paint your cockpit and you close everything up.
Yep.
And then you don't have to do any painting until the end, right?
Yep.
But some builds are kind of build, paint, and just drags on if you don't have things on hand, and I just want to be able to have them on hand. So why waste time? I'm there for, you know, like 6 hours or something.
That's a very cool idea.
Yeah, the the posse guys had one at the Nats.
They did too, yes.
Literally everyone was stopping by to use it to touch up bits of their model. Or I think Zach and Jackson, 2 of the young kids that were hanging around. Young kids, they're like adults, but you know, it sounds weird that young kids were hanging around. They were using it. They'd built up a couple of Tamiya Gaz Jeeps, and they were literally painting them at the stand and got them ready for the entry and entered them in the show.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. So those little airbrushes are really cool.
Yeah, cool.
Great idea.
Yeah, they're very cool. Yeah, so I bought that. I made a decision last night with the Celica.
Celica. We're in Australia, so
Yep.
it's a Celica.
So
Hide it up, lawnmower.
I've decided that I'm not going to do it as in the proper racing markings and livery and stuff that the kit comes in. I'm keeping the white circles with the numbers for the racing numbers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm keeping those. I'm just going to paint it maybe black, and then do it as sort of like a race car for the street kind of thing.
A sleeper.
Yeah, which
sleeper
involves, because
Celica.
I've been having a lot of trouble with painting the yellow on this car. And like once you make one little mistake painting yellow, you're like, wow, I've really got to strip the whole thing now.
Yeah.
Because you can't, you know,
Yellow and red, the 2 worst colours to paint.
you can't patch anything and then repaint just that spot. You have to really unify everything. So it's giving me a lot of trouble. So I'm like, you know what? It's still pretty like smooth and everything. I could just spray it black right now. The only problem is it's got that little hole I've had to cut in the boot lid to put the fuel cap in.
Yeah.
Because it's got the racing fuel tank in that occupies the entire trunk.
Yeah.
And I've had to fill that, and that's not fun. Because it's got like I've already glued on the spoiler, so I've got to get between the.
Couldn't you leave it? Just those racer guys always, you know, the street racer guys have the go fast stuff. So
Yeah.
you know,
I've already mostly filled it.
bugger.
So now I'm just sort of doing body work on that. And once I've done that, I can just hose it down with, you know, GX2 or whatever it is, the UNO black from Guns. That's gonna look nice, I reckon. I could change my mind. Maybe not do black. I could do like a grey, or I could do any other colour. But black would be easy. I haven't done a black.
Worst colour for cars, grey.
I like grey. All right,
It's just
I like it. But I might do black because it's a very for cars. Like if you're not nailing down all your polishing perfectly, it really does look like it's not a mirror finish. When it's because it's easier to, like, you can get away with a lot of polishing mistakes with the yellow, right?
White.
And even white. Yeah.
White hides a lot of
But
mistakes.
black, you can't hide it
No.
because it soaks all the light in and it shows up any imperfections.
Yeah, all you get is reflections.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if there's reflective lines, you know, of the light hitting the surface, if they're not like nice and straight, it's noticeable. So it'll be interesting. It'll be an exercise.
Cool.
So that's where I'm at.
All right. What are you up to, Sam?
The existential crisis of going back to work post Nats. Yes, that's what I've been dealing with. Oh man,
Because we haven't spoken, because our last show we did our sort of wrap up of Nats, but you're off in Hawaii doing something that.
How good was Nats?
Yeah, I know, it was awesome.
So good. I'm going back next year.
Just yeah. Wow. I went through my photos yesterday. I thought I want to post an album online. On Facebook of all my Nats photos, and I thought, hang on, no, maybe I won't just yet. So we went through them again. I'm like, oh god, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. So yeah, what have I been doing? I've been working on I've announced it online now, so I can talk about it. It was a secret project. I'm been really flattered to be asked to be in Models for Ukraine, book 2.
Yes. Terrific.
Which is like amazing because the work that Chris and so on did on book 1, they have £19,000 they raised, out of control, amazing. So been working on a mini art ball tank.
Oh yes,
which is out of left field, and had a big sort of idea of what I wanted to do, and then realised it was just way too much, and it was kind of diluting what I wanted to do with it. So pivoted about a week ago to something substantially smaller with it, but still, the essence of what I wanted to do, which sounds really vague, doesn't it? But anyway, I've been building a ball tank. So, which looks like a softball with a tank track around it.
Yes.
So, first of all, kudos to Chris Meddings and doing this a second time round.
Yep.
I mean, my God, the poor guy was burning candles at both ends doing the first one.
Absolutely.
And then
he was ready to be heard again, so he did that too.
And his company Inside the Armour Publications, which if you're interested in, he's got some great books, so I really urge you guys to go and
a lot of the books now are becoming, what do you call it, where you can download them.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So,
does Chris know about that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's him doing it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I'd urge you, everybody to go and check out that website, Inside the Armour Publications.com.
Great books. I've got a lot of his books in paper.
But for him to go and do this again, I mean, oh my God!
And now it's
he's so committed and passionate about the cause.
Absolutely, it's awesome. And really, I think he's kind of there's no one else doing it. Like it feels like it's just him.
Yes.
I don't see any other modelers. Actually, Chris Becker, Australian guy, his wife is doing something. I just saw he posted about that a day or two ago. But internationally, kind of, it doesn't feel like there's anyone else doing it. So,
although when we were at Model Expo, you idiot,
the Nationals,
we were at the Nats. Vargas Models was allowing you to do
777. Because they're doing the 777. So
that's right. So even when I bought stuff that wasn't related to the 777, which is an artillery piece,
it was $10 for Ukraine.
$10 for Ukraine
awesome.
as a voluntary donation. So.
Yeah. So look, so the premise it needed to be, the model needed to be a Ukraine manufacturer, which is Ace. So mini art, I love mini art stuff. I've got so much mini art stuff. Couldn't really be Russian, so there's all your T-55 stuff, and look, there's a couple of little things. So the ball tank, and as an opportunity to do something a bit different and a bit of fun. So I've shown just the ball. When I'm done, I'll then obviously, with Chris's blessing, show the rest online. But it's going to be really good. And I see a few people now starting to post their finished models on there. So Alex Clark is an amazing 72nd scale builder. He's got a BTR 3 with a little 8-wheeled, tiny little 72nd scale 8-wheeled thing. And Calvin Tan has done a beautiful figure. Matt McDougall has done a OT...
the Bronco.
The OT-10... the Bronco,
whatever.
OV, there you go. Yeah, sorry, aircraft guys. So they're starting to sort of see some people who are involved in the book. So I didn't know, apart from Chris, I didn't know who else was involved until people started posting their stuff.
What's your timeline?
I've got to get it done by the end of August. So
that's not far away.
I can do it.
It's not just that; it's the photos you're going to take, and also writing the description of what you're doing.
So my methodology is I photograph everything So my photo booth is, I roll my chair backwards from my model desk,
Yep.
and my photo booth is always set up. So
Yep.
I literally do a step, take a photo, do a step, take a photo.
Yep.
So that better to have more photos than fewer photos kind of thing. And then writing about it stuff, I find that really easy. I can just sit down and bang out a couple of thousand words on a Sunday morning kind of thing. So that's no problem. And because I've photographed everything, I can, if I don't know a step or don't remember what I've done, I can just tab through my photos and that's what I did. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, see, I'd be hopeless at that. I posted part 6 to part 7.
Yeah.
I glued part 8 to part 9.
Yeah.
And that'd be about that's why I can never do that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So look at it's great. I'm super flattered to be involved. So, but I'm also super looking forward to getting it done, so I can build something that I bought at the Nats, or I can build something else. Like I've got a million projects I want to do. So, and like you, Julie, and I have been buying things. Oh, God.
That's part of the hobby.
It is best part of the hobby.
It is, yes.
And I reckon it's a separate part of the hobby to actually building.
That's right. I agree
So
too.
collecting aftermarket for your models and staff, tools, whatever, is a separate hobby than building them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And I reckon it's better.
Very true, very true. But you got a drawer full of armour that you've built that you haven't painted yet.
Correct.
So you got to get around to doing that at some point.
Yeah, they'll get there. That'll happen, and that's fine. I've also got like, and I off topic a little bit, but like all my kits, like you come to my place and any one of the models in the cupboard you pull out, and it's full of aftermarket, so that when the time comes that I want to build that model, I don't have to go, oh damn, B&A is out of stock of whatever.
Ian's the same. You do exactly the same, don't you?
Yeah.
You buy all your aftermarket stuff.
Oh, definitely.
In the box.
In a box.
Ready to
Goes
go.
in the box.
Yep.
Yep.
And if it doesn't fit in the box, I'll put a Dymo labeler, a marker on the side or whatever, just say, plus tracks or whatever. I know that in the drawer with all the tracks or whatever it might be, they're in there.
That's what I find my Excel spreadsheets handy.
Yeah, so I
Lets
work
me
with
know
Excel
what's in-
every day.
So you don't want to work with
and the
your
last
hobby.
thing I want to do is do another
Do it with your
spreadsheet.
hobby,
As much
exactly.
as I admire a good spreadsheet, I just like, yeah. I know TJ in the States, he's a monster for spreadsheets, and he showed me his model spreadsheet when we were over there, and it's damn impressive. So I might have to look my game.
So what about you, Dave? Still waiting for me to bring around that Chris Foss book.
Yeah, I am, because I've got a kit that's waiting to be painted now, so I'm just waiting for you to pull your finger out, bring the book around.
You got to send me a message.
Yeah,
mate.
I will.
Remind me.
Still moving ahead on that rocket that I'm building. It's getting close now to. I'm probably about 70% done on it now. Just some painting and then assembling, so that'll be done. And I've pulled out because our club next year for Expo doing science fiction.
That's right.
Science fiction and fantasy, or just science fiction?
Science fiction.
Just science fiction.
You sure?
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Aren't they the same thing though?
No, we actually had a discussion at the club about that. Yeah.
See,
And that's where they go, because they said the discussion at the club was, if it's got magic,
It doesn't count.
it doesn't count. And then someone turned around. And someone turned around and said, "Well, what about Star Wars?"
Yeah, that's midichlorians. There's no magic in Star Wars.
No, of course you're right. There's magic. There's no magic in sci-fi, is there?
No.
Well, in theory, or is there?
But you can have fantasy without magic though.
There's no magic in Aliens.
No,
Is there? When you think about it that way, there's no magic in Predator.
no.
Yeah.
But see, like all fantasy is generally sort of derived from Tolkien, right?
I guess.
Like all facets of it can.
He probably stole it from somewhere too.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, he stole it from their classics, didn't he?
I had no idea.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Well, they
if
did,
you
yeah,
go to
yeah.
like Beowulf and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
there's all that sort of mythology and dragons and blah blah blah, swords and things. That's all there, but I mean, he's the one that sort of condensed it as like this is the starting point for all fantasy. Here's your swords and sorcery, you know.
True.
Yeah. Well, sci-fi, you look all the way back to the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Well, that's true too.
That's got some very sci-fi elements to it too.
Yeah. So I'm doing that and nearly finished that rock. And I've got to get out of the way because I've got some science fiction stuff to build. So
Yeah, I took a heap of my
I
stuff
need
out of the cupboard and just to have a look at it. And
Yeah.
I found a couple of the Andrea miniatures. So I've got Space Commander, which is basically their version of Spock.
yep.
I love it. So as not to
Space
encroach on copyright
Space
laws.
Hunter is a really cool Predator figure.
Yeah.
What else did I find? If everyone remembers the old StarCraft game on the computer,
Yes.
yes, I've got a StarCraft Space Marine.
Oh, cool.
And then I found me big vinyl Judge Dredd figure,
Excellent.
which will be a fun one to build.
Nice.
The Sylvester Stallone one.
No, this is based
Pre-Stallone.
off the comic.
Okay, yep.
This I think it might be Horizon, the big vinyl ones. They're quite a large figure too, so it should be a fun paint job, that one.
Yeah, what was the name of the comics that had all that Dan Dare? Was it 2000 AD?
2000 AD.
Yeah, I used to love getting them from the newsagents and reading it. Yeah,
Yep.
Dan Dare. You had Judge Dredd.
Strathium Dog.
And you had that series about where they'd figured out a way to go back in time so they could harvest the dinosaurs and eat them.
Yes.
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 I can't remember the name of that comic.
Sorry, I blinked. I was thinking about something, and then when I came back, you're talking about eating dinosaurs.
Well, because Earth was running out of protein, and could we destroy the Earth so much that you couldn't sort of grow anything, so they built a time machine to go back and harvest the dinosaurs. Hence, that's why dinosaurs become extinct.
So let's not devise a way to grow food. Let's just devise a time machine.
Yeah.
I know logic and conventional logic. It just doesn't apply.
Oh,
to comic
not-
books.
It was
Exactly.
just a comic that you read.
Yeah.
So
And not to mention they devastated the Earth and then decided to eat dinosaurs into extinction, you know.
I know.
That's
So
it.
it wasn't a meteor that killed the dinosaurs. It was some dude from the 23rd century getting some steaks.
Yeah, exactly. Getting some steak.
Bronto burgers.
Bronto burgers.
The other thing I've got to mention before we get into our mailbag, which is groaning this fortnight, I got put onto a series from one of the guys in Club Seth. He sort of yelled out to me, "Hey, you need to watch this series about ILM on Disney," and it's a 6-part documentary. And,
Excellent.
oh my God, it is
Yeah.
awesome. Yes,
Excellent. Thank you for
It
the
is
recommendation.
really, really good.
Has it got like really early Adam Savage footage?
No, Adam Savage doesn't appear in it at all. It deals mainly with the main characters, and it shows some fantastic footage from the model shop in there, and it's just gorgeous. You
I'll
got
have to check it out.
Not quite ILM, but it's Pixar, which kind of came from that
Well,
neck of the woods.
Pixar came. ILM hived it off and sold it to Steve Jobs.
When old mate was going through a divorce, when George Lucas was going through a divorce, he had to get rid of some what's the word I'm looking for? Some investments,
Yeah.
to hide him from his wife or ex-wife. So he sold it to Steve Jobs, which is where Steve Jobs made all his money.
Yep.
Beside the point. Toy Story 2. They're making Toy Story 2. It's great. First one was a hit. Someone accidentally hit delete on.
I heard about that.
on the files, and they lost all the files except for someone who in the design team who had a copy on their home computer. And so obviously against company thing, you never take company stuff home.
That's right.
And so that person saved Toy Story 2.
Oh, there you go.
And so they had most of the files. They were obviously able to pick up everything else sort of thing. So otherwise the movie wouldn't have happened. They had to start again.
Yep.
But brilliant series. I think it's about 6 episodes in it.
Excellent.
So there's your afternoon gone, Sam.
Yep, absolutely. Sorry, Chris. No modelling today.
And so that's pretty much it for me. I think all we need to do is have a word from our fantastic sponsor, SMS Paints, and then we'll be right back with our mailbag. Back shortly. The Scale Model Supply. Certified Australian made, the Scale Model Supply has a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints that have been specifically developed to cater to the scale modeler. Designed to use straight from the bottle, SMS Paints have taken all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake, pour and spray for a fast drying and extremely durable result. But wait, there's more. SMS have just released the new water-based range, Infinite Colour. It is the ideal paint for anyone who is into miniature painting. And with 48 colours that can be mixed to create any colour you want, the possibilities are, well, infinite. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, train, car, science fiction, or even Gunpla. SMS paints will have a colour to suit you. Available now through selected stockists worldwide and online at www.scalemodeler.com.au. Okay, and we're back. And as I said earlier on, the mailbag is absolutely groaning. And the first one that comes in to us is from Keith Reed, who writes, "Good morning, Dave, Ian and Julian. Keith Reed from Tuttle."
That's Kenneth Reed.
Kenneth, what did I say?
Close.
Keith, put your glasses on. Oh,
So he takes his glasses off to check.
Kenneth Reed writes, "Good morning, Dave and Julian. Then he changed his name to Ken. See, look, that's what confused
Yeah,
me.
but you said Keith.
Keith.
Keith, KWF.
Anyway, Ken comes from Tuttle, Oklahoma. And it's been a while since I wrote in, but only because I'm so busy with work and family life. I want to let you all know that every time I see the little dot notifying me that there is a new episode, I get a little giddy, as listening to you really helps the day go by as I repair customer cars at work. I'm writing today in reply to your recent mailbag question from who I can only guess at the spelling of his name, as you, Dave, made such an admirable attempt at pronouncing it, was Brian McFetters, about car modelling and associated podcasts. I too am an avid automotive modeller and wanted to hear more about car modelling. So with the assistance of my good friend Steve Kemper, we started our own pod called the AM Show, Plastic Modelling Podcast. We are mostly automotive and aircraft orientated, but welcome and invite conversation, all topics and genre of the hobby. And we're currently on Spotify, Google Podcasts and Buzzsprout. Check us out and let us know what you think.
Fantastic.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad.
We need more of you guys.
And he continues on, as for why there aren't more car modelling pods, I couldn't say. Maybe the car guys are just so old and out of touch with technology. A lot of my friends don't want to try new things like listening to podcasts. Also, I feel there is a cultural aspect at play here. There are so many social groups that reflect their personality and individualities in the way that they build their cars. In the car modelling genres, there are no rights or wrongs unless it is a replica of an existing subject. You'd know about all about that, wouldn't you, Julian?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
In the military and aircraft genres, there is little room for individuality and personalisation other than how something is weathered or displayed. You are building a model of something that is mostly uniform standard. As a US Army vet, I rarely saw instances where cultural or personal views were an issue unless someone was playing their music too loud in barracks, or that time the specialist Penne was cooking some kind of Honduran dish in his room that made the entire barracks smell like spam and arse. There is one other car modelling podcast I'm aware of and listen to, and it's called Scale Riders. Host 65 Locks is heavily influenced in the lowrider scene, but it's a really good podcast. Being a sport, compact and muscle car fan myself, I found that listening to this pod is seeding the desire to try a lowrider or something outside my normal genre. So give it a listen and be inspired. So folks, there you go. The
AM Show
Plastic Modelling Podcast.
AM Show is AM Show in one word.
Yep. Mostly about cars and a few aircraft. So congratulations, Ken, and we wish you all the best in your endeavour in your new podcast.
Definitely agree. I'll have to give it a good listen to.
There you go. Righty-o. No, I won't open that one because it's something for me. Steve Schaefer writes in, hi David and Julian. First and foremost, I want to let you know that meeting you guys at IPMS Nats was an absolute joy. I wish I'd been able to meet Julian more than just briefly, but I know he wasn't feeling the best. Driving Dave and Ian back from the SAC Museum was almost as much fun as the museum itself.
That was a great drive, wasn't it?
I know you heard this kind of thing from hundreds of people, but listening to you guys helped me get through some tough times over the last couple of years. I'm so grateful you've been there for me every 2 weeks. Dave, if I ever meet you again, I promise I won't get teary-eyed. It's funny, we both had a little bit of a thing where we were both teary-eyed when we were talking about the stuff. So thank you for everything you do, and I look forward to seeing Ian in Texas. The brisket will be on me.
Good on you, Steve.
Fantastic. A really super nice guy as well.
Great guy.
Yeah, 100%. Kyle Harper writes in, hello gents, hope you're all well. Dave, I hear you're looking for inspiration for your Baneblade. Yes, I'm still looking. May I offer you some, as I found myself in the same position with the Space Marine vehicles. Here I have a Land Raider Mark II with the US Desert Storm chocolate chip camo inspired paint scheme. Definitely not canon for the Ultramarines, but hey, I paid for the model. It's cheers from Kyle in New Zealand, and he sent us a couple of pictures of his chocolate chip inspired camo for his Space Marines team.
Pretty cool.
Still haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet, even after seeing, because people have been sending in, hey, try this, or hey, what about this for inspiration? And it just hasn't stuck to the wall yet. So
I like that one. Looks good.
Yeah. Ryan Hothersall writes in, I notice someone used the excuse of why they build 48 scale aircraft as their eyesight is not good enough for 72nd scale. This excuse really, really annoys me and gets me fired up to start firing off emails in the direction of the offenders. From what I have seen of large-scale kits, they contain more, yes, more teeny, hard-to-see parts than a 1/72nd scale kit, so that excuse makes no sense whatsoever. I have a vision impairment, and I managed 1/72nd scale without too many problems.
But he's got a point there because, when you start looking at like cockpit, especially Edward, the cockpit pieces in Edward 48 scale kits can get very, very small.
They can.
Well, there is a limit to how small you can make parts in plastic.
That's right.
But I also will put it out there that everyone's different, dude. So, someone might have a problem with the 72nd scale, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, thanks for that. And I'm glad I read that out because I had a bit of a laugh when it came in as well. So you can step down there, mate. Calm down. Just no, that was something I sent off to somebody else. Dave Waple writes in, greetings, Dave. Glad I had a chance to catch up to you and Ian at Nats in Omaha, and sorry we didn't get a chance to talk more. So are we.
Definitely.
Yeah. You guys were like rock stars at that show. It certainly felt like it sometimes.
Yeah.
What was missing was the music every time you walked into a room.
Yeah, that's what we need to get our own theme music.
Well, I'm missing all the groupies all that following us around. That would have been fun. Well, I better be careful what I say. Enjoyed the podcast on Sunday while giving my car a much-needed bath. First, thanks for the interview with KPL Publishing. I'm a big fan of ebooks and will definitely check them out.
Do so.
And I agree with you, dry docks are a great way to present a model. Snowman did a nice job with the Charlestown dry dock. It's 1/700 scale, which was at the IPMS Nats. Anyway, I'm putting Tom's Model Works USS Nautilus in this dry dock, which I think will make a great diorama. I think you are spot on with respect to dry docks, making a great way to display a full hull ship model. Carl Musselman did an amazing job creating the 1/700 scale USS Los Alamos AFDB-7 with the otherwise boring OKB Gregory kit of the 1/700 scale Franklin-class submarine. And he ended up taking first place at Omaha.
That's right,
in the kit that he developed. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's
a
fantastic
beautiful build.
He also says there's some gives us some ship-related subjects that caught his attention. I know that Ian follows 3D Wild.
Yes, I do.
And I took note of their new offering, which is a 1/100 scale World War I destroyer USS Smith DD-17.
Wait, compatible with remote control modification?
Yeah.
And all that photo etch?
Yeah, I know.
Scary stuff.
It's terrifying.
They are marketing these towards the radio control community as well as by including running gear and motors. They also seem to be working with different developers on these kits. And I noticed that some incorporate 3D printed guns, and others seem to opt for photo etch instead. According to them, it seems to vary by designer. Pricey, but considering everything, there is probably not too ridiculously... Considering everything that's in the kit, there's probably not too much of a ridiculous price tag. Now, it's odd for them to go to 1/100 scale because a lot of the large remote radio-controlled ship dudes either do 1/72 scale or 1/96 scale. So going to 1/100 scale, it's a bit odd.
96 and 100 is probably close enough.
Very
to get
close,
away with it.
Yeah.
You'd reckon?
Yeah.
But I like those old 4-stacker destroyers.
Oh, they were
They look
gorgeous.
great, don't they?
Yeah, they were.
And it's, what is it, the USS
Smith.
DD-17.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And he continues on, a kit that probably off most people's radar is a 1/144th scale Virginia-class Block 3 submarine. It's a beast at almost 32 inches and also includes photo etch. They will print it for you, or you can buy the file and print it yourself, which is my plan.
I wonder if they come with RAN markings. Won't we be getting Virginia class at some point?
I
in theory?
don't know. Well, possibly. We'll have to wait and see. I think the announcement's due the end of the year. Where was I? Okay, their primary market is radio controlled, but they do some amazing photo etch sets for mainstream submarine kits. In fact, they recently released sets for the new Trumpeter 144 scale type U-boat, the
Type 7C.
Type 7C, and the Revell 1350 type 6
That's 7C.
7C.
Oh, is that 7C also?
Yeah.
It is too. So there you go. Very cool. Thanks for that, David. Really appreciate you
That's
writing
a
in.
decent email.
It is. With lots of interesting, cool stuff in there.
Mm.
Who's this crazy dude writing in?
Oh, Brad. It's our mate, Brad.
Brad Belsham. Hey, boys. Hope this email finds you well. Have you talked much about figures and how they interact and enhance your models? No, we haven't really, have we?
No,
Apart from the fact I've said I hate doing figures.
I love doing figures.
I can't stand it. I'd rather close it up, the turret, and
No.
not have a figure.
I've had a few discussions with people, and I always say when I do a 1/35th scale armour kit, it has to have a figure with it to give you.
Oh, I
reference
think
for how big it is.
I'm going to be adopting that in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only way to go.
Yeah, you got to have at least one figure on the base.
So here I am on my old lonesome. No.
You fossil.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to be yes, I will be a fossil. I just got these new French tankers from a new company called Dynamo. They look great and go well with my new Blitz kit Renault D1. Looking forward to the next podcast as always. Julian, have a cup of coffee on me.
Yes,
So-
I've already done that.
So have you guys heard of Dynamo?
No,
Not. No.
no. They look good. They look
Dynamo models, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a Blitz kit.
Yeah.
World War II Frenchies.
The number of times I've looked at the Blitz kit website and gone, oh, I could build
Oh, yeah, they're not
that.
bad.
Yeah, the figures are quite nice.
Yeah, they're all resin, so like they cost a bomb.
Yeah, look at the
yeah.
scale though. I mean, geez,
Just a-
that's not bad for the scale.
Very impressive.
Like $300 for like a really small.
What?
That's a firm no from me.
Yeah, they're like it's a lot of money. They're like the proper resin, full resin kits. I mean, you know what the going rate is with that.
I
sort
can't
of
bring
stuff.
myself to buy full resin kits anymore because we'll just see them in plastic. The kit manufacturers are running out of stuff to do in plastic, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see that D1 in plastic at some point.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
because like the Blitz tend to deal with French stuff,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
and ICM's been doing so many French things lately.
Hmm.
They're all digging into the French armour lately.
Tamir,
Even to me, yeah. I
the
mean,
Somway S35, Renault R35,
Mhm.
yeah, Char D1.
I think actually
B1.
one of the kits in Blitz's lineup was that weird French armoured car one with the small wheels out the front.
Luffley something. or
Yeah,
other.
something like that. Yeah, and then it's been covered by ICM. At least one version of it. I think there's like a 6-wheeler and a 4-wheeler
Yep.
version.
Awesome.
Jim Bob McCabe writes in, "Hi Dave, just been listening to your latest episode and wondered if these pics may give you some inspiration for painting your Baneblade. Regards, Jim McCabe." And he sent in a whole heap of pictures of different sort of schemes and everything for my Baneblade tank. And I've got to say, I've actually seen most of these already. And although there's some really cool ones there, still nothing really grabbing me.
The plain green one with the white stripes.
That one?
I actually really quite like the look of that one, but
Yeah,
it's a bit Soviet.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
I think it's more like a what do you call it? Mark IV era sort of British, you know, because it's got those white stripes, vertical stripes at the front
So-
and rear.
Yeah,
So there was
yeah,
a big,
absolutely,
there was a
yeah.
lot of 40k armour going around years ago. They used to do the like in the first World War, the red and the white and the red.
Yes,
On the
that's
front
still
guard.
that's
Yeah,
still that's,
like the Mark IVs.
yeah. That's still a thing. So yeah, really, thanks so much for writing in. But I don't know.
He's still he's still
Derek Post writes in, and Derek comes from Las Vegas, Nevada. Gentlemen, great meeting you in Omaha. Looking forward to more podcasts and great meeting the voices. On another note, your podcasts and others have made me look at armour models in 148 scale. In my poking around on YouTube, I found a great museum on your side of the world, and I have no clue about distances from you guys, but they have put up great rebuild videos of the real thing. And get this, they are sponsoring a model contest this month. Hope it's close to you so you can take part all from now. And he's talking about the Australian Armour
I love
Museum.
this. People are like, oh, so the Australian Armour Museum, is that close to you? It's
No.
like, it's the furthest you can get from me and still be in Australia.
yeah exactly.
It's 4,000 kilometres north from here. Oh,
And they because I
what's
just
a kilometre?
yeah because I regularly watch their workshop Wednesdays.
Pretty great.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't
And
it?
I know this week they finally finished off the
The Shag Panther.
yeah the Yak Panther,
Yeah,
which hey they did a good job on it.
they did.
Look, as Sam has discussed before, unfortunately they're not like the real thing. They're built up from components, but still,
But hang on a sec.
they represent what the vehicles are, and they are made out of metal, and they're made out of
Okay, well, this is an interesting
bits and
discussion
pieces.
because, yes, they are built up from original parts, but Isn't that also what happens with aircraft that they recover as well?
Well, there's a lot of
Or only-
aircraft out there that are basically the only original part on the airframe is the compliance plate.
That's right. They're
There
a
you go.
compliance build. Yeah, they're literally compliance plate up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of the stuff, like at Sormo, which is in the main French tank museum, it's quite similar to the stuff that's being done up in Cairns, and that is it's the main hull is legit and original, but then everything else is
The running gear.
Yeah, or
Yep.
you know, like they might have wheels, but they've fabricated new hubs for the road wheels, or new fenders, or the tin, the small stuff on the outside of the tank.
Yep.
And it's like, well, it's probably time for me to get past the fact that these tanks have no provenance. You know, 'cause get over it. And but yeah, like that Jag Panther, for example, the front glacis plate actually was found in a location of where the factory was, where they were building them in the war, and it was unfinished.
Yeah.
So there were still sections that needed to be machined out, so it was a rough plate. So it's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just obviously like getting a wheel from here and a wheel from there, and
Fabricating the fenders and the
yeah.
rear
The way I sort of
boxes
look
and-
at it is like the difference between an original AC Cobra and a replica AC Cobra, right?
yeah.
And like that all matters if you're an owner, because obviously one's worth more than the other, but it's the same car,
Yeah.
right? So
And-
as far as a
And you'll,
museum goes,
and you'll probably find the replica Cobra handles better.
Yeah. And starts every time.
Starts every time.
but
Doesn't have rack and pinion
people
steering.
are appreciating a vehicle in a museum.
Yep.
It's no different.
And look, I guess ultimately it's not appealing to me necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's appealing to the look mama tank crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's always
kind
going to
of-
have the appeal of like you see the real
Yeah,
thing in person, right?
course.
Oh, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And
Or a
it's
lot
still great.
smaller.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, it just doesn't have the prominence.
Yeah.
A lot smaller, aka P61.
Yeah. Sadly, it's so far away from us. You know, it's like
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, it's only a $400 air flight and air fuel,
Of course
air
it
ticket.
is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll keep saying.
One year we'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
1 year.
And in fact, we interviewed them about on
Should
episode 6
do
or
a
7.
podcast from there. Use it as an excuse to do a podcast and do it from.
Who needs an excuse to do a podcast, man?
Yeah. But no, they've got their Armour Day or whatever they call it, where they have everything there.
Yep,
like,
yep.
wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, definitely. While we're there. Food for thought.
It does. All right, last one in comes from Randall Spenny, and he writes, "Hi guys, who wants a dry dock? I served in the US Navy from 86 to 2012, and my very first assignment was USS Los Alamos. Los Alamos was created using the first 4 pontoons, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, from ABDSD-1. USS Los Alamos was forward deployed to beautiful Dunoon, Scotland, in Holy Loch, and we serviced ballistic missile boats of the Atlantic Fleet.
That's
so,
cool.
yep, I'm getting a dry dock, and we'll be doing some scratch building to turn into the Lost Animal, as we fondly called her. Love your show. That's Randy, IPMS San Diego, Ramon, California.
Ramona.
Ramona. Yes,
California.
sorry, I beg your pardon, Ramona. So, well done, Randy, and send us some pictures when you start building that
Yeah,
beautiful,
definitely.
beautiful dry dock.
Be keen to see it.
Absolutely. All right, let's have a very short break before we hear from the Falcon and what he's got to say. So we'll be back very, very shortly. Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars or figures, the Fine Scale Modeller magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeller, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeller, go to www.finescale.com. Okay, and welcome back to the show, and we have got some news from the Falcon, who writes in, "Hi, David and Julian. Aircraft news first of all. KP Models are to release a 72nd scale Machete Grumman S211 and Aero Mackie M311 and MT345 kit in late August 2022. The recommended retail price is 16.95 euros, and initially there will be 4 boxings. It's going to be the US Navy version, the Alina Aeromacchi M311, the Aeromacchi M345, and the SIAI Machete S211. So basically what we're talking about is a training turbofan aircraft, which is used by a number of different air forces, and it's quite a success story for the company.
Yeah, that was really just a list of serial numbers and things.
Yeah.
Aeromacchi trainers.
Now, they're also promising in 72nd scale an Aero Macchi MB326 and an MB399 before the end of 2022, which, of course, the RAAF flew the 326.
And the 339 was South African, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it might have been, actually. So that's really exciting news for those of you who build RAAF aircraft in 72nd scale. I'll know that you'd be very happy and pleased about that. You may remember that ICM announced a 148 scale Bristol Beaufort Mark 1. It was slated for release in late 2021, but for some reason was delayed. Well, now ICM are now saying that it will be available in September 2022. ICM have also announced another version which will be released, which is going to be a tropical version for all of you desert war fanatics.
So they've ramped up their releases now. The Russians have invaded. Go, you good things.
Yes. The 148 scale Blackburn Buccaneer from Airfix is finally in the hands of modelers, and the verdict is actually quite good. Apparently the plastic is now a lot better, and the surface detailing is comparable to that seen on the recent Zuki Mura offerings. I'm a little bit conflicted. I really want to go and get this kit, but geez, the price is a bit sharp.
Oh, the price
it's about $140 Australian.
Yeah, that's very
for an
expensive
Airfix
for an
kit.
Airfix
Yeah,
kit.
for an Airfix kit.
Ouch.
In 48 scale. I know there's quite a few guys in the UK who've been saying, because it works around £70 for them, and they're going, oh, gee.
That's more expensive than to me a Tomcat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For engineering that's Stone Age. You know,
Well-
Well, maybe it's not Stone Age because we haven't seen it yet, right?
but
No.
it's not to me a Tomcat engineering.
No.
You know, we know that's not.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I know that's the standard we hold
Yeah,
things to.
and
But
there's a
Yeah.
guarantee. There's a
True.
guarantee because Tamiya standard engineering.
Well, look, I'm still going to pull the trigger, but it's not something I'm going to rush out and get right now. So, because I remember when they did their 1350 scale destroyer. Oh, gee, the name escapes me now. The modern one for the Royal Navy. Even that you can't get that for under $100 in Australia.
Yep.
And you know, it's gee for a frigate.
I'm just Googling what a Buccaneer is.
You don't know what a
Oh,
Buccaneer
they're
is?
on the sides of your bucking head, right?
That's where you're
I'm here all week trying to
Hey, boom, boom.
I've said it before on this podcast. They kind of look like, to me, they look like the ginger. You know the
Oh, yeah.
It's like a flying Coke bottle.
before you cut it up and do whatever it is you're going to do to
They
cook
look
it.
like ginger.
Yeah, because they're like this weird shape. It doesn't look like a natural shape.
Okay, it's got the engines down the side of the fuselage like a
you need to see,
SU-25.
you need to see the side profile. It looks weird.
Yeah, and they got the
Come on, it
split
can't
top,
look,
the
as,
air
can't, look
brakes.
as, can't look as bad as a fairy gannet.
I think it does. I think it does. I think it's like
And
in
they got the
same
split
territory.
tail for the air brakes, don't
Yes,
they?
correct,
Pops
yeah.
open. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
No, I reckon it's a pretty
get it.
cool looking aircraft because, mind you, I remember watching when I was young. There was a documentary. It was about the last voyage of HMS Ark Royal.
Yeah,
And they
awesome.
had Phantoms and they had Buccaneers landing on it, and just
Awesome.
that's it. Oh.
Yeah, Fleet Air Arm stuff
And,
was
and
pretty
they had
cool.
the Rod Stewart song "We're Sailing" as part of the theme music for it, and the whole
Awesome.
thing was very emotional. And yes, anyway. Dora Wings have announced they've shown the latest CAD renders of their upcoming 48 scale DHC Beaver. I know all the Canadians are going
Excellent.
nuts over this because it's something they really want to see. For those who are fretting about it, yes, there will be a float plane version. Dora have also shown box art for the next release of their 48 scale Curtiss Wright CW 22B 2-seater. The version will have a different different canopy from the SNC1 boxing and will allow you to make a NEIAF and captured Japanese.
Netherlands East Indies Air Force.
There you go.
There you go. Something for you, Ian.
Definitely.
There you go. The 148 scale Moran
Saunier,
the MS-230, gets another outing. And this is the aircraft that has a mono wing placed up high. It was used, served in the Republican forces during the Spanish Civil War. The little drawing on the side of the box shows what may be Belgian markings, but not 100% sure on that one, he says. Don't know if there'll be more than 2 options, although usually Dora provide at least 3. Edward will be releasing their next kit in the 148 scale Zero family.
Yes.
In October 2022. It's going to be an A6M3 model 32 Hamp with the clipped wings.
Yep, another one for the collection.
Also from Edward in October is a 148 scale Midway dual combo boxing of the Grumman Wildcat. You will get the F4 F3 and the F4 F4 with markings for both land-based and carrier aircraft.
Did you guys get a Wildcat in?
I did.
I didn't.
You didn't?
I did.
I didn't. I should have, but I didn't.
I got one. Got from his special.
Ian only got it because he could come and say that he's the first person in Australia who's got one.
Yeah.
Bragging rights.
And the first person in Australia to get the Model 11 A6M2.
I was the second one then.
And the Mark 5C Spitfire.
You got back to Australia before me, so I was the second.
We spoke about that actually. We talked about that off show.
Yeah, because Ivan picked one up for me.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
Yeah, Ivan queued up. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Did you see? Sorry, just off topic. Did you see they've released all the aftermarket for it now?
Yeah, I know. Yes,
and it's in stock at Hannets.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
Oh, not Hannets.
Yeah,
Postage is going to be a killer.
it's not.
No,
it's not that expensive.
Oh, really? Oh,
Ask
in
me
that
how I
case.
know.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I wish Hannets would update their website. My God, it's so painful.
it's kind of but it works. Yeah,
That's
That's
the problem. It needs to stop working so
Yes,
they can
it-
replace it.
ICM are releasing a special movie tie-in dual boxing for the 1996 film The English Patient, where you get a Tiger Moth and a Stearman biplane, both in 1/32 scale with the appropriate markings. Not casting aspersions, but I'm not sure the modelling demographic is the same demographic that would be into The English Patient. Too arty and not enough explosions. Then again, they have both kits in their catalogue, so why not do it? I just hope Miramax don't sue them. Special Hobby finally releasing the most anticipated version of their 48 scale Huey Cobra helicopter. The Bell AH-1G over Vietnam with the M35 gun system is available now for about €62 at the Special Hobby website. Apart from the plastic, you get resin parts, 3D printed parts, 2 PE frets, 1 naked and 1 pre-painted, plus canopy masks, and there are 4 decal options, 2 with very cool shark mouths.
oh, sounds quite reasonable for that price then, yeah.
And I think we've been hanging for a decent Huey Cobra, actually, to tell you
Yeah.
the truth, and for quite some time.
Well, I mean, if it's other variants, there are
Yeah.
other options, but
100%. Oh, look at this. Looky here. The Falcon has actually spoken about some sci-fi stuff.
Oh, there you go.
Meng are adding another kit to their mecha lineup. Oh, I'll leave that with you, Julian.
Evangelion.
Yeah.
That's one of your favourite things, isn't it?
Evangelion.
well, I've seen it. I wouldn't say it's a
weird.
favourite.
It's a multi-purpose humanoid
Decisive
weapon. The kit will come with pre-painted sprues featuring an undergate design. I don't know what the hell that is. What's an
It's
undergate
where
design?
you know, like you get the fuselage halves on a Tamir kit.
Yeah.
Instead of the sprue gate being on the sort of side of the kit part, the sprue gate overlaps the mating part, the mating edge. Oh. So when you cut it off, you're cutting off on the mating edge and you don't get a scar on the outside of the model.
Oh, that's clever.
Yes.
Right.
I love how Meng's like, yeah, this is what we're doing. Tamiya's been doing it for like 10 years.
Yeah, I know.
Tamir have made they haven't announced it as a special feature. I know. That's just what they do.
Yep.
Yeah. Classic Meng.
Still on sci-fi, Border Model comes from Border Model comes a new series, the Algae. Is that pronounce that right? The Algae of the Red Empire. Border claims it a production of games and
Elegy, is it?
Elegy? Elegy. E-L-E-G-Y. Elegy. I'll just pronounce
You
it.
have to excuse my groaning at this.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know what they're talking about.
I know what it is.
It's a sci-fi tank that's like cut in half.
Right.
With like, it's like two parts, and there's like tracks at the front, tracks at the back, and it's just
got
release
rocket launchers,
your Stug 3 with interior that you've been waiting on.
Hang
Border.
on, no,
Come on.
wait. This is I've seen this, and this is
Garbage.
No.
It's kind of like a sci-fi tank, kind of reminiscent of Command and Conquer. Red Alert.
Exactly right. Exactly what it is.
I think it's great.
Just release your Stug 3 with interior that we've been waiting a year.
How many Stug 3s are there floating around on the
Not
market?
the correct one. The Border one is correct. And that's probably why they've pulled it, to make alterations. So I just have a bee on the bonnet about that kit.
This is the first kit in the series in 1/35th scale, no less. It will be a Soviet apocalypse tank. It will be pre-painted and cement-free. That's just... The apocalypse tank has a turret with 2 large guns, and the chassis has an unusual track arrangement with says the Falcon, I can't bear it. Yeah. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, go look it up yourself.
Look, I don't mind it because, I grew up with these sort of video games that
Command & Conquer is one of my all-time favourite computer games.
Yeah, it's a great way to describe it. It very much looks like a Command & Conquer.
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Yeah. Especially the Red Alert series.
Yes.
It's very much in that sort of, alternate history, Cold War kind of thing with but what I hope they do is like the other sort of similar things from like they had like the Prism tank. Remember that?
Yep.
No.
Yep, I do.
That's more the standard Command and Conquer. Yeah. It's the one where it shoots the laser type things, and you can sort of like have like multiple tanks, and it will like shoot the beam of light from one tank to another, and then it does like a concentrated beam.
No.
Yeah, yes.
Weird.
As long as you're doing sci-fi stuff, you may as well do sci-fi stuff, right?
Agree 100% with you. All right, so the Falcon now moves on to military vehicles in his email to us, and he says that Taken will be releasing a trio of 35th scale Patton tanks. A M48A3 Model B, an M48A5, and an M427 self-propelled anti-aircraft.
M247, though.
What did I say?
M427.
God damn it. An M247 self-propelled anti-tank gun, Sergeant York. I can see the first two being popular, but is the world crying out for another Sergeant York kit?
Yes.
Yes, we say.
Look, honestly, if it takes the place of one Soviet apocalypse tank, it's a win. Definitely. I'd take 50 Sergeant Yorks over a stupid apocalypse tank.
Really? But you're building the
exactly.
The ball tank.
Yes.
That's beside the point. I've made my choice.
Yes.
I don't know. But to me, they're both in the sort of what if category, right? Also, the Sergeant York is kind of what if too, because that thing was a huge failure.
Yeah. Well, I guess it did exist, but just
I'm with Sam in this. I just reckon this apocalypse thing's just BS.
Well, so you two guys have never built Warhammer tanks.
I built one.
Yes, I have.
Have you? Well, you haven't finished it.
Yeah.
It's the same.
But then there's lots of regular tanks I haven't finished as well.
I built a Rhino.
Have you?
Yeah, I built a Rhino for the Night Lords Legion, complete with
there you
lightning
go.
bolts and severed heads on spikes.
Well, then you got even lesser reason to be against this because it's just another sci-fi tank. Then you've built a sci-fi tank.
I don't know.
There's a dividing line in the studio. There's me and Julian on one side, and Sam and Dean on the other.
They're just fictional tanks. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean it's like paper panzers. I mean you guys don't whine and bitch about that.
No.
I got a few paper pans.
There you go.
But look,
Amusing Hobby does some good paper pans.
getting back to the take-on release for a sec, M48A3, that's Vietnam era, that's awesome. The Dragon kit was not great.
Yep.
The Tamiya kit from the 70s was not great. Take-on one will be excellent.
Yep. I've built a few of their armour stuff, and I just absolutely love the way they go together.
Yeah. And look, the guys who help with the design of the Take-Home stuff have access to the real thing at the National Armour and Cavalry Collection in Fort Benning in America. So they've got access to the real thing, so they get it right. So, and look, Take-Home's also coming out with via Andy's Hobby Headquarters, 16th scale M4A3 Easy 8 Sherman.
Like the last production.
Like, so great,
And isn't that 1/16 scale just going nuts at the moment?
Yep. There's going to be like 3 Shermans in that scale coming out this year.
So the only reason why the Sergeant York kit even exists by anybody is because it's just a turret change, right?
Effectively, yeah.
That's the only reason why it exists. Do you know the story, Ian, about the Sergeant York? So they basically made this automatic turret, right? And they slapped it on an existing tank chassis.
Any aircraft, like the German Gepard,
any
aircraft turret on a Leopard hull.
Except it would spin too fast for the people inside it, and they would get sick, right?
It'd be like being in a centrifuge.
And so, and I think in the trials they were showing it off to generals, and they had literally the targets had self-destruct things, and then they would blow up rather than actually shooting down.
Well, they did a demonstration because it had like an automatic kind of thing, and it zeroed in on like a fan on top of like a nearby caravan or something like that, and it blew the shit out of that. Pardon my language.
Sounds like fun.
And if you want to see something that was similar to that, there's a movie with Eddie Murphy in it from the 80s called Best Defense. And it's a thing that's very similar to the Sergeant York.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen that.
It's cheesy as you like, but it's great.
Speaking of movies like, have you seen the movie about the building of the Bradley?
With
Kelsey Grammer?
Pentagon Wars.
Yes.
I've seen bits of it.
Oh,
and
man.
it looks really good.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
It really is. And it would be so funny if perhaps part of it wasn't true.
Yeah. It's probably closer to the truth than not.
Copper State Models. A couple of years ago, Copper State Models teased us with some CAD renders that turned out to be the parts of the World War I era Russian Tsar tank. They didn't have much to say about it at the time, but people speculated that any kit of the Tsar, given the size, could only be in 72nd scale. Well, CSM recently showed more extensive CAD renders, claiming they were for a 1/35th scale of the kit, which on the face of it seems pretty bonkers. CSM floated the possible price for the kit, which if I recall correctly was in the region of about 160 euros.
120.
120 euros, was it?
Yep.
Okay, so he's wrong. It is not clear to me if CSM are committed to making a kit or they're just testing the waters. We await further developments.
Take my money.
Take my money. 100%
Take my money.
Yeah.
It's an audacious release.
It would be huge. And Dave and I were, before the show, were speculating how they're going to do the spokes.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see.
Because you wouldn't be able to, in plastic, they'd just be way too big. You'd have to do like a high tensile wire or something.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Especially in 35th scale.
Yeah. The wheels are going to be about a foot tall. It's going to be huge.
It's a bit big, isn't it? Now
It's going to be huge. But it is a must.
Second scale wouldn't be.
Yeah, but that wouldn't go with all the rest of me First World War stuff.
Well, we'll
take my money.
In October, Kinetic Models to release another kit based on the earlier 35th scale M109 kit. And this is going to be an IDF M109 Rocher / Doher. You guys know anything about that at all?
Yeah, it's an American M109 155mm artillery piece, or 203mm, one of those two. Yeah, and it's just in Israeli service. Yeah.
So is Kinetic moving into armour then?
No, the kit's been around for quite a few years. Yeah, yeah, it's just an Israeli version of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably not a question that is often asked, but what do Roden Models and George Clinton have in common? Answer, they both got the funk.
Please.
God. Roden latest kits is a 1/35th scale Funkwagen, which is a Ford V8 G81A Funkwagen to be precise.
Radio car.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
All 4 decal options are painted in that.
That's all it is. It's just a radio truck.
Yeah, I know. But it's just hilarious how cringeworthy you're finding this.
It's so bad.
All 4 decals are painted in that very dark Panzer grey. So dark you may well need a flashlight to see them. Magic Factory. I've never heard of Magic Factory. Magic Factory are soon to release their very first injection plastic kit. Well, that's why I haven't heard of them. It's a 135th scale Iron Dome air defence system. Ooh, that's interesting. While the real thing isn't very impressive to look at, the kit itself seems very nice. Apart from the plastic, you get metal tubing for the hydraulic rams, so that's interesting doing that, and 2 decal sheets and photo etch parts that don't need to be cut from the fret. How would that work, I wonder?
They'd be on a backing sheet.
They etch them into like they have a plastic, self-adhesive type backing.
Right, okay.
And then they etch away, and they etch away all where you'd normally have the sprue gates, I guess, on the etch parts, for want of a better term.
Well, as the Falcon said, that's going to be an impressive start for Magic Factory, so we'll have to keep you guys posted with what that looks like. That's all for now from the Falcon. Have you guys got any new kit news at all? Or new
news
stuff?
I've got is my local hobby shop, the Hobby Man in Fountain Gate, is taking orders for the new Qatari Spitfire.
Ooh.
I know, because I put my name down.
Did they have an idea on
Not
dollars?
as yet. Okay. But they're saying that they're not expecting them to be stupidly expensive.
Okay.
Because there's no engine and all that. So it's
Right.
But yeah, so
I see Lanks have started to turn up too. Metro's got Lanks here in Australia.
the border models Lanks. Yeah.
How much are they going for?
I don't know.
Be close to $1,000.
I know Canberra Toy World, which is their excellent model shop in Canberra.
Yeah.
They were just over 1,000, 1,080, I think, which seems like a pretty good price. But yeah, that's Australian pesos, obviously, for overseas listeners.
Although the Aussie dollar's made a bit of a recovery, of course it does as we get
that's
back
right.
from overseas.
That's right.
So I think it's
It did.
trading
It
around.
made a good recovery. It was 72 cents when I got back, which meant I got more money back. Than
No, it works the opposite way. You get less money back.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I got more money back for some reason. Maybe
I didn't.
stuffed up. Or maybe I had more
I'd
money.
spend
to
all my
begin with.
cash. I spent everything.
Well, I still got about $500 in US notes, and I'm just going to hang on to that for my next trip in February.
Yeah, no, I burnt all my cash at the show, and then took about 400 out at the airport. No, at the hotel, and then spent not much of that at the show, and then that was Hawaii, and then carded everything and whatever in Hawaii. So, yeah.
How did your kits survive the travel back to Australia? No problems?
Not a single.
Yep.
Oh, just the boxes got the corners a bit
Yep.
tiny,
Yep. Dog-eared.
But because I gifted my King Tiger to JB, John Bonani,
Yep.
he took that home to Denver. So I had my plastic carry-all box. So I also packed an empty Tupperware type box in my luggage. So I had two. So all my aftermarket and airbrushes, 2 airbrushes, all the stuff that I bought went into those, and then the kits also went into that side of the bag, and it was fine. It's a hard shell bag, and no damage at all.
Yeah.
And in the end, I had all my books in my backpack as my carry-on, and that was really heavy.
I bet it would have been.
So I dumped them in my luggage as well, and I was only 1 kilo over.
Yeah.
So that was excellent. It was no problem at all. So
Well, did you see how much Ivan got hit in customs from all those kits he posted back?
Yeah.
Man, he would have been better just getting 2 extra suitcases, and paying.
Well, I gave him a suitcase.
You did.
Yeah,
You did.
It was more than could fit in a suitcase. It was it was 3 huge boxes of stuff.
He went bananas.
He went bananas. like it's like he went off and just bought us so much stuff, and he had no plan on how he was going to get it.
It was a
home.
future Ivan problem.
Yeah.
was the line.
That's what he was saying too. This is a
Ivan.
future Ivan problem.
And it was, yeah. So, but he knows for next time, I guess. So
Yeah.
We're so lucky here in Australia. We don't get hit with
customs
GST or custom stuff.
I didn't declare anything when I flew back in. I declared that I had a shell necklace, which I got in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And if you declare something and you tell them what it is, you go straight through.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't declare and get pulled over, then
you're stuck there for an hour.
Then you're done.
One of you guys declared something too, didn't you? What was it?
I didn't declare
Was it
anything.
you, Julian? You declared something?
Yeah, I think
Some medicines or something with you.
Yeah. Just household.
Yep, and got straight through, no problem at all. And I, in theory, if tune out now, people from customs immigration, I had more than $1,000 worth of goods because I think it says you got to declare if you've got over $1,000 worth of stuff that you've bought.
Really?
I think that's what it says in the thing, and I had more than that. So.
I think I probably would have gotten close to that too.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
what does that mean? I mean, I think they meant it in sort of $1,000 that anyone could get for $1,000, but
And
it's
ultimately-
only really worth $1,000 to modelers. Right?
You know,
That's not the same thing.
The beauty, yeah, exactly right. The beauty of when we flew in at the same time as an Air Vietnam flight, and literally every traveller that got off that flight had a trolley with like a box that was taped up and then their luggage on top of it, and they were all going to the inspection queue.
Yeah.
So like every single, there's a potted lion head, and there's a panda in that one, and there's 3 seals in that box or whatever. Like whatever. You ever watch that Australian Border Force show? And there's always people bringing stuff in that they shouldn't be bringing in.
Yeah.
See, we were lucky too because there was 2 other international flights that came in. One was from the subcontinent, so
There you go. So that'll be
they were getting checked, and because we're from the US, it was sort of no worries, off you go.
Yeah. And Australian passports help.
Oh yeah,
Australian passports, and because they'll talk to you. They'll say, "Oh, you've tagged that on your thing."
You haven't been near a farm, you're good to go.
Yeah, and I think if you've got like a reasonable command of Australian accent, they're like, "Oh, you're a proper Aussie. You know what the deal is." You know,
the only reason I'd check you out is if you're like coming from South America, like Bolivia or something. Like that.
Colombia.
Come into the black room and just wait till I put on my rubber gloves.
It was.
I mean, they would have their high risk areas. Yeah.
The flights were. It was great coming back.
Yeah, it was.
No problem at all. So I invariably spent no money in Hawaii compared to on the mainland.
No, but something else happened in Hawaii though, didn't it?
Yeah, I got married.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the other excuse for going to the States for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So and again, it wasn't a surprise thing. It was very, very planned.
Well, a surprise to us.
Surprise to everyone else. We
that's
hadn't
right.
told
None of us knew.
Yeah, we didn't tell anyone, but we had planned it.
First we saw was the Facebook post is we did a thing.
We did a thing.
Yeah, I thought, look, obviously they had a couple of Mai Tais over there. So they got drunk and decided to get married.
And it was I was really surprised and probably a bit foolish of me to think otherwise that it was bloody hot in the States, wasn't it?
It was.
It was like a Melbourne summer every day.
38s,
but it was also not hot, but it was very humid. And
Hawaii was humid, I thought.
Oh no, I didn't find because you got that cool breeze coming in the evening. Whereas,
so whereabouts Hawaii were you?
Waikiki.
Yeah.
See,
whereas in the mainland,
But geez, don't they smoke a lot of pot there?
I wouldn't.
Everywhere you walked, you
Really?
could smell it.
Well, here's the thing. So we went. So long story long, but we we got delayed and had to stay an extra day in
That's
Waikiki.
right, yeah.
So poor us. Like they trucked us to a different hotel, gave us money, like food vouchers, and then bussed us back to the airport at the end of the day to fly out. Like it was really well handled. And we're sitting at Macca's because we haven't had American McDonald's. Let's just have a cheeseburger or whatever, vegan cheeseburger if you're listening. And it's just crackheads everywhere in the McDonald's. It was so funny. And there's a dude cleaning his bong out in the Coke machine. I'm like, what's that smell? Oh, wow, it's some dude. And my wife goes, hey, check it out. And there's old mate just washing his bong out with the Coke machine. It's like, man. and weirdly, 10 years ago, I took my kids to Hawaii and my son was like, can we have American Macca's? I'm like, all right, let's go to Macca's. And there were crackheads in Macca's back in 10 years ago as well. Like, it was just madness. So,
what I found interesting is that as hot as it was in Omaha, but it was also quite incredibly humid.
Yeah, okay.
And I couldn't quite figure out why. And the guy said, well, so many rivers around here. Plus, you got all the crop fields,
right?
And they give off a lot of irrigated, give a lot of heat off. Whereas in Melbourne, we're really used to a dry heat.
Yeah, okay. And we had a couple of days of really ordinary humid.
Yeah. And Hawaii was better because you got that lovely afternoon breeze coming in. It was.
Yep.
And even when we were the other side of the island and we were going exploring, it wasn't that oppressive.
I didn't find any of the United States hot. I found it to be warm.
I found
and comfortable.
I had a great time.
It wasn't hot to the point where I was going, oh, damn, this is hot.
It wasn't like 45 in Melbourne. But it was hotter than I was expecting.
Yeah. A few days I was like 38.
But also, like, how's the time shift when you're in the hall, because you go from your air-conditioned hotel through the hallway into the air-conditioned rooms, where the competition is or the vendors are, and then you don't go outside at all, and then it's 5 o'clock. It's like, where did the day go? It's like a casino. Yeah, no outside windows and no clocks anywhere. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's the end of the day.
It was worse.
I haven't eaten anything.
It was worse for Dave and myself because we'd go out for a smoke occasionally.
And we get stuck out there talking for bloody hours.
And you get acclimatised to the heat, and all of a sudden you go back inside, and it's like you're walking into Antarctica. Because, geez, they really ramp up their air cons in there.
Yeah. I think they needed it, though.
Yeah.
It was good because models don't wash.
No.
Yeah.
And I didn't, like you go to a model show, especially UK, and it's just like, come on, guys. Basic hygiene is its own reward.
I think it's just people with indoor hobbies.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing for Comic-Con and all the conventions, basically.
I didn't notice that in the States, though.
No.
Everyone was pretty clean and smelled good.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it was such a... And the friendliness.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing hospitality, everyone. Just
Crazy hospitality.
Just everyone. And JB put me up for a week beforehand, before we got to the show, kind of thing, or however long it was, and just everyone was just so great. And then at the show, people come out, and you guys experienced it more than I did.
Yeah.
As people come up to you going, "Hey, I've listened to you for ages, or I've seen you online, or whatever." It's like, wow, this is so great.
Yeah.
Also, who are you? Sorry.
It was very humbling.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. I'm still not prepared to stop talking about it. So.
No, me neither.
I just want to cling on to it. It was such a great holiday. So.
Well, as we said, so Ian's back to Texas next year.
Yep, hopefully. Yep.
And you're trying to gather up a few Aussies to go with you, aren't you?
Yep.
So now
I got two maybes.
So the sale for hotel rooms September 3rd, midnight.
That's when the rooms start.
US.
Yeah. Get in early, people.
100%. Because there's only one hotel right on the actual ground, so that those ones will go really quick.
Yep. I'm doing Scale Model Challenge next year. So that's Eindhoven in October.
Right.
So, and Ivan's going to do that, and JB's going to do that as well. So
cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then there'll be some couple other guys, hopefully, from here coming as well. So, and then obviously all the Euro guys will be there and stuff. So, that will be excellent.
That would be brilliant.
It's on the same level as the Nats in regards to sort of the social side of stuff. The models are probably next level. Quality.
Well, taking a step down, becoming a lot more sort of parochial and regional. Ian and I are off to Canberra.
Me too.
You're going too?
Yeah, I'm driving up. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Going as well.
So we've got the Scale ACT Model Show on in 2022, which is happening on the 5th and 6th of November at the UC High School in Killeen, 108 Baldwin Drive, Killeen, Australian Capital Territory. Go to their website to check out more information on that.
It's a terrific comp. I don't know if you guys not been before.
No, it's
really well run.
Yep.
And great bunch of guys up in Canberra, and it's it's in a huge basketball stadium type school hall.
Which I think it's the last time there though. When I spoke to Dave, the president, Pete. Sorry, Pete. I think they might be moving next year.
Yes, I'd heard that, and there are plans. I don't know. Maybe this isn't the right forum for me, but he's mentioned that they've got some plans for stuff, which sounds
exciting,
fantastic.
Yep.
So,
we'll find out more when we get to the show. Because we're going to be doing some recordings there, so it should be pretty cool.
Well, hopefully bigger and better things.
Geez, it'd be nice if they could hold it like somewhere like Traylor. Where they keep all the stuff that you normally don't see in the Australian Woman.
The Mitchell wing there, the storage wing.
Yes. In other news also, we're heading off to New Zealand next year for their Nats. So that's pretty exciting for us. I think it's in October, November, I've got a feeling next year. I'm not too sure. I'll have to get in touch with Dave Johnson.
Yes.
And have a chat to him. I know there's a couple of guys from New Zealand who keep tapping me on the shoulder, so we're definitely going to be over there next year, guys. So look out for
prepared.
us. All right, we better talk about why I've actually got Sam here today. And I thought it might be a good idea just to have a bit of a sort of mini masterclass on doing tracks and wheels for AFVs.
Yeah,
because it's something
stuff.
It's something I've sort of always struggled with a little bit.
It's the meat and potatoes.
Well, it is the meat and potatoes, and I think it'd be good just to sort of pick your brain, Sam, and see how you approach it. And we'll talk about a couple of different methods and different ideas and
Absolutely,
different mediums that you can use to sort of, do it. And also, I want to touch on the painting, because the painting of the tracks is the one that scares the hell out of me more than anything else when it comes to this sort of stuff. So, do you perhaps want to kick off first with how you approach doing... we'll start with tracks or wheels. You can diverge to wheels as well if you want.
Look, it's often it comes down to the subject you're doing. If it's something really small, I'll glue them all together as one big unit. And I like to, as you know, I like to weather stuff pretty heavily. So if it's all sort of glued together as one big thing, you kind of don't need to worry about painting the backs of the wheels or, painting the tyres at the back, because it's going to be muddy.
So sorry, you confuse me when you say it about gluing together as all one big thing. Do you want to break that down a lot more?
Absolutely. So if I'm thinking about like a small tank, like a Kettenkrad, little sort of motorbike half-track type thing, you can glue the wheels all together as one unit.
Onto the tracks.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So
because the wheels overlap.
They overlap. And so you're not going to necessarily see the ones at the back that much. So I'll take a shortcut and glue them all together and then paint them all as one unit. So the tracks and the wheels are all one section that you then, once they're dry, you can glue them to the side of the model.
Right. Yep. So, and the tracks here in this case are usually
they happen to be Lincoln length.
Lincoln
tracks.
length. Okay.
Yeah. So, but look, let's probably go back to even more sort of basic than that. If you've got rubber band type tracks and you're going to use those, you can rattle can, buy a dark brown or a black, rattle can if you don't want to airbrush them. And I usually just pin them to the inside of the box lid and spray paint them on the inside of the box lid. And that gives you your base coat of dark brown or black or whatever. And then I'll weather those up separately. And look, they usually glue them on with super glue. So, and you can use hobby glue on most rubber band tracks now. But I like the speed of CA, of super glue, if I'm going to glue them on.
Right. I'm really keen to sort of step through the process of doing the wheels and tracks separately.
Yep. And
I want to sort of really break that down as to how you do that and then stick it to the model after you've painted it, because there's I think we've sort of jumped over quite a few different steps there that are really important for the guys who are starting from scratch perhaps in doing this.
So with armour these days, generally, things like you got to build them up in sections. And so the torsion bars or the swing arms that the wheels mount onto are often separate. So they're a separate part. And so that adds a lot of complexity, I guess. So the first thing first is, if you're going to have them sitting flat, have your model sitting flat, get your torsion bars, swing arms perfectly flat. And so generally most kits these days, if they do have separate torsion arms, they're very positive fit into the model so that they will only sit flat. Or they come with
they've got like a keyway.
Or the keyway, or they've come with a jig that you mount over the top of the swing arms to have them sit perfectly flat. To me, kits come with a jig usually, just a part of the sprue that you use to keep the torsion bars, the swing arms completely dead flat. And obviously then you want to add some complexity, you can cut those little keyways off and then move your suspension arms. So if you're going to mount it on a diorama base or whatever, you can have your suspension arms all articulated. So let's just assume for the sake of the discussion, you want it nice and flat. That's cool. Get your suspension dead straight first. So that's probably the most important thing. So get your suspension dead straight, then glue your wheels on if you want to have your wheels glued on. That's one way to go. I tend not to glue my wheels on so that I can get to the back of them and paint them and all that sort of stuff. So I'll either mount the wheels on big cocktail sticks. You buy skewers, barbecue skewers type thing. I'll mount them on skewers and paint them individually. Or sort of next level, and I've seen Martin Kovac, Night Shift, does it. He'll actually, like the German tanks are interleaved or interlocked road wheels. He glues them all together as one. So I have 12 road wheels on one side of the tank or 6 road wheels, all as glued together as one piece. So he super glues behind the wheels. Yeah. And so they literally pull off the suspension as one whole unit.
I remember building for a customer a Dragon Tiger.
Yep.
And the back wheels were one piece, and they had like a little loop that joined all the wheels together.
Yep.
But because you got the back wheels and you got the center wheels that go in between those.
That cover over the loop.
And they cover over the loop, so you don't see anything.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just such a great, quick, easy way of doing it.
See, sort of, and depending on, you can't do that on Shermans, for example, because each bogey is a separate bogey.
Yes.
So I'm talking about German stuff, obviously, or even with modern stuff. Modern tanks have individual road wheels on each individual swing arm, so you can't glue those together as one piece. So that's when they go on a cocktail stick for me. So to help paint them, and so that way you can paint behind and get all in your nooks and crannies and all that sort of stuff. So so you've got your suspension arms glued to the hull, and then your wheels are separate and they're painted separately.
Yep.
And then if the rubber band tracks, they'll get painted. I just paint them with a rattle can usually, or an airbrush if I happen to have a black or dark brown colour. Or even Mr. Surfacer black or Mr. Surfacer mahogany.
You're quite happy to use rubber band tracks?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it all depends. So
I detest them.
Yeah, if you're going to cover the bottom half of the tank in mud, why drop another $50 or $60 on aftermarket tracks?
Yeah, because you all know the price of those Fruity model tracks. They are not cheap.
Yeah, if you can get them.
And what was the ones that new mob that's now doing the resin ones that were at IDMS?
There's about 50 of
Is
them.
it Tankcraft?
Tankcraft do them.
They look quite nice.
Master
There's
Club, is it?
Master Club are metal. They're from Russia, so we don't talk about those. But they're around still. T-Rex out of China. Although, mind you, they've just moved to Japan. They're resin as well. SC3D was at the show. They do tracks. Like there's millions of people do tracks now. So, and look, I love aftermarket tracks. They're my go-to. But if I'm going to really heavily mud the tank up, or if I'm building the model out of box for an out-of-box competition at one of the shows, absolutely use rubber band tracks. Yeah, because generally now these days they're pretty well detailed.
Yeah,
and I just cover them in mud, and then it looks good enough. So, mind you, I can't remember the last time I did use rubber band tracks on a model. So again, and if we're going to talk about aftermarket tracks, well, I build them up, get them to sit on the model because I like to photograph everything. So I build them up as per the instructions. So if they say to use the wire, if they happen to be a metal type track, I use the wire or that comes with the kit to build the tracks, or if they're the resin 3D printed ones with the microscopic tiny pins, I use those, and that's fine. And then build them up, photograph it, and then take it off the model and paint them separately. Because the detail on those resin tracks is so good, it's easier to paint them off the model and better to paint them off the model. Weather them that way. I weather with acrylics, so there's no sort of stinky stuff on them, no pastels which you get your hands all dirty, no pigments and that sort of stuff. And then just drape them back on the model at the very end. And you always leave the last one with no pins in it, so you just pin them at the end over the sprocket.
Yep.
And so leave as much of the suspension removable as possible is my sort of go-to. If that doesn't add complexity and that doesn't make it a nightmare, leave it all separate. You can paint it all separate. If you're painting the side of the hull, you can paint the suspension the same colour. And it doesn't matter if there's paint over where you're going to glue. Just scrape a bit of the paint off or just glue over the top of the paint. That's what I do.
Have you ever glued the wheels to the tracks?
Yes, often. If I'm if I'm building a take-home kit that's got plastic tracks, then yes, glue the wheels to the tracks,
and then it's all of the tracks and wheels as one assembly.
All just pops off as one assembly, and that just say for a Panther, for example, which have overlapping road wheels, I leave the outside set of 4 wheels off each side. So I'll glue them all together, but not glue that outside one on. Because on a Panther tank, they've got that inner road wheel has got a metal face, that metal edge that sort of rubs against the inside of the guide horns on the track. And so that's bright silver. Or if it's been sitting overnight, it'll be rusty. Even in the dry environment, it'll still be rusty. So so I leave the outside wheel off so I can get to that silver ring and paint it. And then, I'll just paint it using... I've found actually for painting silver, AK 3rd Gen
I've heard
acrylic silver is amazing to paint with.
I've heard that too.
I use a lot of AK stuff, but it's bloody good.
Airbrush or paintbrush? Or
paintbrush.
Okay.
Paintbrush.
Because it doesn't
you can airbrush that stuff.
Because it doesn't have the large metallic flakes.
No, the flakes are microscopic. And like I've tried Vallejo silver and it's nasty.
Oh, yeah. I bought some of that. I think I've used it once and it put it at the back of the shelf.
It looks all separated and I can never get it to suspend the pigment in the...
Because you got that milky look to it as well,
No, the AK 3rd gen stuff's bloody awesome for
I'll have to
painting.
get some hands on
And
that.
and so for those inner wheels that buff against the tracks, just paint them with that silver, and then you've painted the outside set of road wheels, and they just literally sleeve them over the axle arms, and you can, you're done. Like it's sort of quite simple that way. So yeah, I know it's sort of it's such a caveat, depending on what vehicle you're building.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
Yeah,
it
I
really
get
does.
that.
It really does depend on what you're
Yeah.
building. So,
Yep.
if you wanted to build a Sherman,
How do you do How do you go about the captive wheels in the bogies
Hang on,
on
so-
the early Shermans?
Talk for the listeners out there. What do you mean by captive bogie?
Well, that's
So,
where
like,
the actual mechanism that holds the wheels.
there's a solid
is-
axle that runs through them that you can't remove the wheel to paint it.
Yeah, the wheel needs to be painted once
It's held captive. It's got two things on each end of the axle that holds it in there, and you
So-
basically sort of have to. Either you paint it separately.
Yes, and
And
leave
then-
it so the wheel spins so you can get the brush around it.
Yeah.
Or another option is to just use your side cutters as you're building it, just to nip the axles down so they're just a nub on either side,
and they
so you can
snap
pry.
them in.
So you can pry
yeah.
pry those swing arms on the suspension bogies on a Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
You can pry them apart just enough to pop the wheel in once you painted it,
That's a good
and
idea.
then you mount the wheel on a cocktail stick. And then you can paint it,
Paint it,
do whatever
yeah,
you need to
yeah.
do, and weather it if you like, and then
That's
just
a really
Because
good
pop it in at the
when
end.
you have to add do rubber on the wheel, that
Yeah.
adds an extra level of.
And look, the other option is just to leave it so that there's no glue on the wheel and the wheel can turn, and then you just move it with your hand and paint the round kind of thing. And
That's a bit annoying.
it's annoying, yeah. and that doesn't work on the Easy 8 Sherman suspension because usually you've got to thread an axle through, and capture the But you can just leave the wheels off.
Yes.
Unless, here's the tricky thing with the Easy 8 stuff, often they'll have the wheel with the axle stub on the back side of the Easy 8 Sherman suspension. So you can't get it out next to the hull.
Yep.
So you
So you gotta leave the bogey off.
Yeah, so what you want though is the wheel that doesn't have the axle on it in the back. So you can thread the axle through the hole at the front. And then, I
should clarify what a bogey is for those who are not native armour modelers. So a bogey is basically like an entire sub-assembly for one...
a suspension assembly.
Yeah, suspension assembly. And so like a Sherman has 6 of them.
Yes.
3 for each side.
3 for each side. Yeah.
And
And two wheels on each bogie.
On 2 wheels on each buggy.
Yes, if it's the early ones. If it's the Easy 8 ones, the late ones, then...
there's 4 on every bogey.
Yeah, there's 4 on every bogey.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, because you've got front and back wheels on each. Yeah. Extra wide.
Yeah, inside and outside ones. Yeah, is how you would...
Yeah, and look, with the the sort of late war German stuff and with the Soviet stuff, that's all metal wheels. They're not rubber components, no rubber tires, external tires on them. Again, you just paint it and weather it like normal, and then the last thing you do is add all the metal sheen with your whatever paint of choice, or a 2B lead pencil is really good for adding
graphite pencil.
metallic sheen as well.
Here's another one too with the rubber especially on the Panthers and the Tigers and so forth.
Yeah.
When I first did my first German tank, you always had that seam line that went around, and I always sanded it off. And then I recently started watching the documentaries on YouTube.
all got seams.
They've all got the seams. The real ones actually have a seam line.
Yeah.
So you're best to leave that
wear
seam
down though.
I've seen World War II stuff that have still got seams on it.
Yeah.
But I still to this day I can't leave a seam.
Yeah, I know it's difficult.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's got to come off. So, and look, there are some manufacturers who make resin aftermarket wheels with the seams on them perfectly, and I can't do it. I have to remove them. So yeah. Another really important thing with wheels, and something that I picked up years ago from a mate who had it pointed out to him. Construction is so important with tracks and wheels because you look at a model that the tracks are not straight and the wheels are not straight, and you can't not see it.
Exactly.
So get the fundamentals, the basic modelling skills. Get the wheels straight first. So if you're gluing them together as one piece, make sure they're parallel because they don't sit all skewed.
No,
the real thing.
Unless they got bent axles.
Yeah, exactly right. So get that straight first, and if you're building up tracks that are individual links that you've got to glue together, like the old Dragon tracks, use a steel ruler. Get the tracks dead straight. because it makes a huge difference. Because, you know, if you're taking that model to a competition and having it judged, that's the first thing that will have a model knocked out of contention, is if the tracks are wonky. Tracks are wonky. Yeah. And it seems like a really obvious thing to say, but it's so important, and you see it so often where people sort of don't get that bit right.
Yeah, I mean, like some kits are pretty friendly with the engineering that it's hard to mess that up, but other kits...
Yeah.
I saw some of those Dragon Lincoln Length tracks.
Yep.
They are like so, especially like the Panzer ones and so forth.
Yeah.
They're so thin.
It's like gluing staples back together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're so small.
But and they're very narrow, small tracks, you know, because they're less.
And you've got to be careful. You can't use too much to me or extra thin, because then you'll start to melt the little sections, and then you got no way of getting them completely straight.
Then you got a spaghetti noodle.
Yeah.
But, you know, like people like, you know, companies like Tamiya do get it, you know, they're really well done, they're very well engineered, they go together well, and you kind of almost can't cock them up. But then, you know, and Take-On mostly are excellent like that as well, but then Big Stug in 16 scale, there was a lot of questions about ride height, because there was no way to independently work out how low or high the suspension was supposed to sit.
Oh, right.
So they kind of didn't get that right. They missed that. So there's a build group on Facebook where Dave Parker, who's AFE modeler, went through and he set the ride height right, you know, and made it look right, and then told everyone it's, you know, 2.65 centimeters off the ground, or 2.65 inches, or whatever the size was. Like, it was, he measured it out so that everyone else could go, okay, cool, that's how I need to set my ride height. So, but you do got to watch, and some of the early mini art kits were like that as well. The suspension wasn't positive at all, and your model could be sitting all over the place.
Yeah, I know.
So, again, on some late war stuff, the German, the front suspension would sag. You know, think about Jag Panther with the heavy mantlet and all that sort of stuff.
Panzer Jaegers and so forth, where they actually had to put the steel wheels at the front because they had the oversized gun.
Yep, and so the front would sag, so you want that nose down attitude. So if your suspension was a separate assembly, which mostly are these days, you could do that. You'd have it with that real nose down attitude.
Do you ever do armoured cars?
Oh, I have got a few armoured cars. Yeah, I've done a few. Yeah.
And have you ever tried to alter the wheels so that they're turned?
Yeah, so
it looks a bit weird when they're all dead straight.
Yeah, it does, and they don't look animated at all when they're dead straight. I know I'm a little bit off topic because
we're doing wheels and tracks.
Wheels and tracks, yeah. So, you know, on the 8-wheeled armoured cars, there's a thing called the Ackerman principle.
Yeah.
All cars, really.
The different angles.
They're all different angles, and so which way does it work? You know,
there is a diagram out there.
That's right. You think about the front and rear set of wheels are turning a bigger arc than the inner set of wheels, because you draw two circles concentric to each other, and they're, you know, so. Oh, it's hyper nerdy, sorry. But, you know, you've got to get that angle right, otherwise it looks terrible. You know, and even just like a Jeep kit, you know, Jeeps look fantastic, but they look better with the wheels just turned a bit. So just turn the wheels a tiny bit and it makes the model look instantly more alive.
Yeah, but it means you have to chop and change suspension arms and things.
Bend it. Just bend
you
it.
Bend it?
Yeah, you get that white plastic, you know, when you bend plastic, it goes white, just bend it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So, seeing you've ventured in the area of wheels now, do you prefer the vinyl wheels or do you prefer full plastic wheels?
Full plastic.
Yeah.
So I built a number of ASLabs, you know, the Australian Army uses back in the day, and I'll still use them, you know, for the next little bit. And the trumpeter kit comes with vinyl wheels, and they're just a nightmare, you know. As it is, you've got 8 wheels to try and sit flat on the ground.
Yeah.
And the trumpeter kit's not great.
That's the equivalent of what we were just talking about with the tracked vehicles. You got to make sure all 4 or 8, you know, wheels are on the ground.
And you get 7 right, and then one's got, you know, like a dog taking a leak. It's got its leg in the air. You know, like, it's not great.
And then you've got like some of the more the larger vehicles that, you know, that you can get out of the Ukraine and things, you know, like the.
Yeah,
you know, like that Czech thing, the Dana.
Well, then Trumpeter's just released. It's called the Topol, and it's a Russian.
Yeah, the Topol,
and it's like 2 foot long with like 30 wheels on it or something. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, like imagine trying to get all those wheels flat on the ground.
Well, you'd better hope that the kit just makes it easy for you.
Yeah, well, it's Trumpeter, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Depends which team.
Yeah,
but and then of course you want to replace all those wheels with nice resin ones because they look so cool.
Yeah, but not always.
Def models make awesome.
What was it? I've got I can't remember the name of the Pioneer, the British recovery vehicle from World War II.
Oh, the Scammell.
The Scammell.
Yeah.
And I bought some aftermarket resin wheels because I wasn't happy with the kit wheels, and I'm not happy with the aftermarket resin wheels. They're not the centre hubs aren't circular. They're more ovally, and
wow.
it's just it's like a cheapish. Someone's rushed it. So
right.
And like these things are about $40 Australian for these wheels, and I'm looking at them. I can't use these.
Yeah.
So now we've got to try and find other Scammell wheels because I love the Scammell. I just think it's one of the beefiest looking machines out
Have you
there.
built you've got you've got a Scammell, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, you're missing out. It is just one of the coolest looking vehicles out.
I kind of in similar vein the M19 Diamond T. Truck,
I want to get one of them. They're worth a fortune now.
Yeah, I think the Australian Army used them as well.
Yes, I've got decals for the Australian Army.
And the Israelis used them, and all the cool countries used them. Sort of thing. All the cool kids used them. But I want to do an Australian one. So with a Grant or something or a Matilda on the back of it.
Well, see, the Scammell, right? I don't like the artillery tractor version because it's just a truck.
But the wrecker with the crane.
Yeah, it is just an amazing looking thing.
And it's got the counterweights up on the front of it. It just makes it look like.
And if you go on YouTube, you can watch these guys that are still today using the Scammells to pull semis out of bogs.
Yeah,
and to watch these things at work is amazing.
They use them in the desert, and they use them in Northwest Europe. They use them everywhere. As recovery vehicles. So they're kind of.
I want to see you do one of those. I want to see you do one.
Add it to the production queue. Who makes a Scammell in? I know Accurate Armour do.
You want the Thunder models?
Yeah, Thunder models is what I've got.
Because they did the Diamond T as well. They're 19. So
it's a stunning kit.
With getting resin wheels, at least then the manufacturer, just to bring you guys back on track,
keeping us on track.
just to bring it back on track.
I've been discussing for a while. Yeah.
At least then with the resin wheels, the manufacturer can put a bit of sag in the bottom of it where it sits to demonstrate the weight.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there are some wheels that do have sag in them, but there are some that aren't meant to. So, and that's great. That's great too. So, Def Models out of Korea, they are a big producer of aftermarket resin wheels, and they are so great. So, they've even just released fully flat tyres for the Meng Tiger armoured car, which is the Russian armoured car being used in Ukraine at the moment.
Yep.
And there's lots of photos of those with blown out wheels and burnt and stuff. And they've released a full set of flat tyres for it.
Wow.
So, that's kind of almost keen to grab a set of those. But I've got a few sets of theirs for various armoured cars that I've got. Specifically the Tamiya M3 Scout car. So, which is awesome. It's like a armoured car that Tamiya have done.
Yeah, I remember that.
Russians used them, and then Americans obviously used them heaps, and then I wanted to do a captured German one. So full American markings and stuff, but it's in German service. So.
Now, I was reading somewhere or seeing somewhere where one guy, to introduce a sort of bit of sag or weight to the tyre of his vinyl tyre, used a screw or something.
Self-tapping screw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you thread it. It depends on the hub size.
Yes.
You need to have a decent hub so that you can
Get some
screw up to the
bite,
bottom of the tyre. And then into the hub to then introduce some bulge at the bottom.
Yep.
And so, in fact, a guy I know who produces resin wheels, or did in the past, that's how he did his masters.
Oh, okay.
So he'd use the kit parts.
Yep.
And then put a self-tapping screw up to the bottom of the tyre, and then mount it on his sprue and all that sort of stuff too. And that would introduce the sidewall bulge in the tyre, which makes it look a little bit flat. And then away you go.
My issue with vinyl is that it's hard to introduce and hold paint on it.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that is why it's so annoying
horrible
to
things,
use. Yeah.
And even you can prime it with Tamiya Primer or Mr. Surface or whatever, and it still just doesn't.
Or give it a bit of a scuff with some 800 grit
It just
sandpaper
doesn't
before
perform.
you...
Yeah, it doesn't perform the same
I've
as
just
plastic does.
weathered straight over the top of them.
Like, keep the black and just
Wow.
go straight
Yeah,
over the
I
weather.
mean, it's a black tyre.
Yeah.
Right?
At least
Once you've got the mud and stuff on it, that's...
Exactly. At least the stuff that Trumpeter uses for their rubber tyres doesn't attack the plastic like some of the old Dragon plastic.
Yeah.
It's Dragon rubber used to attack the plastic and melt it.
Actually, funny you should say that. I saw something about 3 weeks ago on Facebook where a guy actually bought I think it was a Tiger or something, and they had that yellow vinyl tracks.
Yeah. The
And
magic
it,
track, they call it, or
and
the
it
DS track.
basically melted inside.
Disintegrated.
It disintegrated, and it was like a soup.
Yeah.
I was like,
The
whoa.
way Dragon have them too, they come in those
sleeves.
those long plastic sleeves.
Yeah,
that
and it was like a
sealed up.
soup inside the sleeve.
Yeah, that's the first thing that gets thrown out. When I get a kit with those DS type tracks, I just straight in the bin.
Yeah.
And I have used them in the past and they've been fine. And in fact, an Israeli Sherman, I used DS track, so that yellow rubber track, and the detail is beautiful on it. I think maybe mine didn't die because I've painted them.
Yes.
So they're out of light, they're sealed now. And this model would be 10 years old easily, and it's still as good as the day that I painted them.
If I have to use any kind of rubber tire or anything, I always make sure that the styrene surfaces that they're touching are all painted.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah, it's probably
it's a small thing to do, but
Yeah.
it means that I don't want to end up with any problems later.
Yeah,
probably.
too right.
I know we're talking mainly about, sort of military sort of cars and stuff, but how do the car modelling dudes go with their tyres? They're quite happy with the vinyl tyres?
Yeah. I've never had a problem with vinyl tyres.
But they're happy just to use them and they go and replace them after
as far as I know.
Well, is it vinyl or is it rubber? Because I think they're rubber.
I think they're rubber.
Because with cars, you often have to remove the seam line that runs down the middle of the rubber, right?
Yeah.
And you just sand it off. Basically, it takes a lot of effort, and you have to start off with something.
You put it in
high
a motor.
grit.
You put it in a motor tool and just run it over some sandpaper and just do big burnouts.
But it does roll. It does roll up into little balls like you expect rubber too. Like when you use it on paper, like a.
So they use actual rubber.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
I've got an original Gunze Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe.
Yeah.
And most of the interior components are rubber.
Oh, seriously?
Like the seats and the sidewalls of the car.
Okay.
Like Tamiya's Famo, which is their half-track
huge
thing. It's got rubber front wheels, rubber front tyres, I should say. And I've never had any of those react adversely to. It must be a better quality stuff than whatever
the vinyl.
Yeah, and it sands the seam. You can sand the seam off, no problem, and it's
So we were talking about the important thing about getting all your wheels sort of to touch.
Yeah, you don't want them hovering.
You don't want them hovering. So I can think of a couple of ways in which I would tackle that. One way would be put the model on its back.
Yep.
And then get like a light cardboard and sort of lay it on top. It's almost like the model of the turtle.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
And then that way I can see without putting... Because if you do it the other way, put the wheels on, then put the model, you're putting stress while the glue's perhaps still drying.
Sure, yeah.
On the gear. So if you flip it upside down and put maybe a...
I've never thought to put them upside down.
I do it a different way.
Yeah.
When I do mine, I raise the kit. So I've got the kit, the actual the
hull.
The hull.
Yes.
The correct height for where the axles on the swing arms.
Right.
So that when I glue them down, because I always build on a glass sheet.
Yeah.
So then I might just make sure every single one of those swing arms is touching the sheet.
Yeah.
As long as that the body is the correct height off.
Yep.
Unless you haven't been careful and didn't push them all down, they're all going to be dead flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quick and easy. It's the quickest
and
easiest
usually,
way
if you're not using super glue, if you're using regular hobby glue, you've got time.
Got a bit of time,
to adjust.
Flexibility and stuff. So and turn it 90 degrees, so you're looking down the line of the suspension, so that no swing arm is sticking out further than the others or whatever.
Yeah.
And look, even if they're not 100% perfect, often you'll find that the kit wheels have got a polycap. You capture a polycap inside the halves of the wheel, and that introduces a tiny bit of play anyway, so that even if the axles aren't 100% dead perfectly in line, that bit of play with the polycap enables the wheel to find its own level and sit dead flat and straight. So, but like Ian, if you're building on glass or like a firm hobby desk or surface, you can use that as your sort of your right angle to get the wheels right. And I usually then just if I'm gluing them permanently to the model, I get I've got a big heavy steel ruler, and I just stand them and press it next to the model so that the sides of the ruler is ensuring that all those wheels are dead straight with each other down the side of the hull, and then I'll do the same on the other side as well, just to make sure that
What do you think of those suspension arms where they've got like the actual torsion bar molded into the whole deal, so that look, it can go up and down a bit.
That's handy if you're going to put it on a base and articulate it across.
Yeah, but otherwise it's a bit.
A lot of the a lot of the Meng kits, like the T72, and a lot of their kits, you get working suspension on them, and invariably the front and rear has the little nub on the suspension arm to keep it in line, and it's the intermediate ones in between those, the outers that work. immediately, and you can cut the nubs off so that all of it work. And so I invariably glue them in place unless it's going to be across a diorama base or whatever.
I've been on off like chipping away at the Meng Leopard 2.
Yeah, that's working suspension as well.
Yeah.
So
I am thinking of gluing them all because some of them are a bit sort of.
They're a bit wavy gravy.
There's
a bit of flex in them and stuff.
Like there's some play in the center. Like they're not.
Yep.
There's not a. They don't snap to us. Automatically to like one position.
100%.
There's a bit of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just assume that at some point I might like to enter that model into a competition.
Yes.
And even if it never ever sees a competition, I just figure, well, that's my kind of minimum standard of effort. And so I'll glue them in line so that there could be no movement at all. So and look, with sort of the multi, the overlapping or interleave suspension arms, what I've taken to doing as well is I'll pack the back of the wheels. I might super glue them together, but I also pack the back of them with epoxy putty, so that it really solidifies them as one whole unit. And then it makes it really easier to handle and paint and weather. Yeah. They're not going to fall apart on you or anything like that. And then you just sleeve them back over the suspension arms when you're done. So they'll pop back on each side as one unit with the idler and the sprocket at either end, and then loop the track over the top, and then that's it done. So and it's just a I guess Night Shift does it with super glue, CA glue, and that's fine, and that works for him. But I super glue and then putty it as well. So and you can pack heaps of putty in there and still not have it seen when you look at the model.
Yeah, that's right.
The tracks cover it, and the wheels overlap each other anyway. So and if it does look like anything, it just looks like mud packed in there.
Yes.
So it's winning as well.
Now, I was looking at John Bonani whacked up a Russian tank the other day. It's
KV2.
He did it in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Which
it's about 9 parts.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's great.
It still pissed me off that he did such a great kit in about 2 minutes. What really impressed me was the tracks, the way they looked. So
Tamiya, god damn it.
Yeah, I know. So with the painting of the tracks, do you start with and paint because they're made of metal? Do you do a metal finish on the tracks first and then build up your mud and your sand or whatever medium it's going through first, or do you start it first with a mud or an earth colour?
Sure. Yeah. So it's another depends.
I know.
It depends. So, for example, my T64, which was probably the most recent kit I did before the Nats, though the tracks on T64s are really quite bright metal. So I brush painted those with AK gunmetal. So again, it just brush paint straight out of the bottle, and it paints on beautifully. And so that was my base coat was metal, and then I went over it with other acrylic washes and that sort of stuff to make them look all dirty and grubby and stuff. So, so for that instance, yes, definitely a metal base coat. Usually though, it's just a very dark brown or a black sort of colour. I really like Chaos Black, Citadel Miniatures Chaos Black in the rattle can.
Yeah, it's cool. I love that too.
Really hardy. So if I've got metal tracks and I don't want to use that blackening fluid, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work as well as you want it to, I'll just spray paint them with that Chaos Black, and then
it's super expensive too. The cans,
it's like $40 a can, or $35 a can.
It's really jumped up in price.
Yeah, and that's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Yeah, anyway, so and then just go nuts with acrylic washes over the top of that, and then or the AK Terrains, which is their sort of mud paste stuff, which is awesome, water based. So you slap it on, and then you just slush it around with like my sound effects, and with wet brush, and you just work it into all your seams and stuff. And because it's acrylic, it doesn't attack the base coat of the paint you've used, and then if it's a metal track, you can just work the track, and then it just looks like mud that's been worked into all the nooks and crannies.
Right.
And then before it dries, loop it on your model, and you're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it looks like lumpy mud that's good caught in it and stuff like that. It's really, really good stuff.
Modern Armour comes with usually 2 types of tracks. They've got their off-road tracks, and then they have their on-road tracks. And the on-road tracks have like big rubber pads.
And mostly they don't ever take the pads off. Mostly they just always run them with the rubber pads in, even off-road. So our Abrams always run the rubber track. There's never any metal on the outside of them at all. So even on exercise at Pucker or at Shoalwater or whatever. Yeah, and so that's just invariably with those ones, they'll get a dark metal base coat kind of thing, a bit darker than gunmetal kind of thing, and then I'll brush paint the black track pads or dark, very, very dark grey track pads. Most paint manufacturers now have a tyre black type colour, which is like a super dark grey.
Yep.
Brush paint it fairly carefully, but not.
To me, I make a great tyre black.
They do. Yeah.
I don't mind the Gunzi. I'm a fan of using the Gunzi tyre black.
Brush paint that stuff. So
Gunzi?
You can't.
I'm not Lincoln Wright. I can't brush paint. I can't brush paint Gunzi. So
when it comes to doing the black, the tyre black, the H77, I use the Lincoln Wright, and I don't actually stroke. I just dab the paint on and let the capillary action drag it to where I want to.
Okay,
because if as soon as you start dragging the paintbrush, it just it loses its adhesion.
Yep. So I don't know, Vallejo or AK 3rd gen for me, and just brush paint it on as carefully as you can be bothered doing, and then because you're going to weather over the top of that anyway.
So if you make a mistake, it's not critical.
No,
it's not.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. So and
well, you think about it, most of these tyres, by the time we've finished, and tracks and tyres, you're not going to be seeing much of the original tyre colour, because you're going to get like all your sidewalls are going to get the light brown or the mud
dust
or mud
or a grey colour. Tyres go grey.
Yeah,
they really do. Yeah,
but then you got the interesting thing of the early First World War tyres, where they're white
or pink.
Yes.
Which is the pink is the raw rubber colour. Yeah, with no pigment in it.
Yeah, and then white was, I think that was just cured differently.
Yeah,
and then black is when they started adding soot or something to the mix.
So I've been looking at tyres a lot. Given this ball tank has got one great big tractor tyre on it.
Yeah,
been looking at tyres a lot, and they go a really funky light brown grey colour, which is ace. So I'm really looking forward to weathering that. So and that'll I've just been googling tractor tyres. So, because it looks like the rear tyres of a tractor.
You're going to it'll look really good. Get a very fine scriber or a fine pin and start putting little cracks in the rubber. Hey, now it's giving you an idea.
I want to get it finished this year. I've got 2 weeks.
Yeah, you got a deadline.
The problem with that sort of thing is that, like, cracks are never uniformal in width.
Depth. That's right.
Yeah,
which would make it really interesting.
It's a rabbit hole.
Exactly.
You go overboard.
Snow. Do you ever do snow?
I haven't in a very long time.
Snow's difficult.
Is it because you haven't found a method that meets your standards?
I don't know. I've never gotten around to doing one in snow.
See, I'm a believer because I've seen some convincing photography of models that are done in snow, but that's because they took it outside and there's like snow there.
Yeah,
and they live in Sweden or something like that, and they're like able to put it in its setting. But otherwise, if it sits on a table, it doesn't really...
I don't like the full snow, like the big snowdrift look.
Right.
I like that slushy mud snow that where the snow's discoloured and gone a bit clear from the mud and stuff. Like, I really
or the patchy snow kind of
the patchy
look.
Snow. Yeah, I like that look. So I'll get to it one day, but I just haven't ever really done that. So I'm more the sort of mud, and the or dusty type environment stuff. So I don't have anything against it particular. I just have never got around to doing it. So I've got plenty of snow stuff to use.
Right.
There's tons of really good stuff on the market. So, but I had to, from my T64 little Dyer that I did before the Nats, I had a BMP2 that's been pushed off the road, and all the tyres are all burnt off, and I wanted to make ash and make it look
the white ash.
And I was like, I refuse to use pigments or pastels because I just hate them. But I was like, what have I got that I can make an ash looking? Oh, I'll use snow. So I got AK snow, brushed it on, gooped it on where the ash would be, and then just used black paint as a bit of a wash in the bottom part of it. So it looks like burnt and ash and stuff, but it's snow product.
Wow.
So it looks all grey. So it looks like ash.
Yeah.
So it worked perfectly. So I kind of have used it relatively recently, but I haven't done a snow thing forever. So
I think it's.
I'll get there.
I think it's a pretty difficult thing to get right, to be honest.
For sure.
Especially on like tanks, like trying to, because as you see in the photos, the snow like builds up on the inside wall of the road wheels.
Yeah, and doesn't look like fresh white snow. It looks like slush.
Yeah,
like that sort of icy, muddy stuff,
gunky stuff. Yeah.
and yeah, it has a certain look, and I don't know how to achieve that. So
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and my standards are high enough that
I'd rather not do it than do it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's a convincing way to do it, really.
Mm. Yeah, there'll be a way. I just
Give it 12 months. Someone will come out with a product.
I don't think it's a product issue. I think it's just it's the fact that you don't have the rest of the environment to put it in context because it's just a model
especially
on
here in
table.
Australia.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
unless you live in the high countries,
the
we've
most
got
recent,
no idea what
the
snow
most
looks
recent night shift video. He's done his early release. If you're a Patreon of his
Oh,
early
the-
release video came out this morning.
like. The 48 scale.
48 scale 38T tank, and he's done snow and ice on it. It looks bloody amazing.
Oh, I've only seen the one on YouTube, so
Yeah,
I've
there's
got to
another
wait
one.
I've got to wait next week for that
Yeah.
next one. I actually watched it this morning before I came in.
Yeah, the early release one was out tonight or
Yeah.
last night, so it's there to watch next week, and it's bloody good. And he does that exactly that thing we're talking about, Julian, with the dirty, snowy, slushy. He does it. Damn it! God damn it!
He's just one of those people that just has the natural ability
Well,
to just pull these things off.
Yeah, but it's also his job now.
Yeah.
He's a full timer.
Yeah.
And so, you modelling one day on a weekend is never going to catch up to him
No,
modelling
no.
5 days a week.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right. Yeah.
No, exactly.
Well, I remember his early stuff where he was nipping bits off sprues with an old pair of pliers, and everyone was just blowing their minds, going, "What are you doing, dude?"
I think he was doing that to troll people.
Yeah, probably was.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good spot to leave it there, seeing we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Of course, if you've got any questions that you want us to forward on to Sam, drop us an email at onthebench64@gmail.com, or indeed, if you've got any pictures or ideas or hints as to how you guys do your tracks and wheels, again, send your email to onthebench64@gmail.com, I should say. We'd love to hear from you. Right, how about we do our sign-offs? We'll start with Ian.
Adios.
Oh, different one. Julian.
Spend more money on something.
Okay.
Support the modelling, the modelling industrial complex.
Support your local hobby shop.
Modelling Industrial Complex. Sam.
Thank you again, guys, for having me.
No worries. We should get you on more regular. It's always fun and good topics.
More
to have here.
regular than this?
Yeah, it is. You're only up the road. Well, thanks for me. Thanks for listening to us. Don't forget, there's a whole range of fantastic other model podcasts out there, and we now have a landing page where you can go to find where we're all at. So simply go to modelpodcast.com. It will show all the other fantastic modelling podcasts that are out there. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting us, and we'll be back in a fortnight.